In the year 2147 AD by the Earth calendar, when humans first encountered the galactic commonwealth, their presence barely caused a ripple. They were viewed as primitive compared to the advanced civilizations within the commonwealth. Most members regarded them with pity, observing their struggles to establish colonies nearby. The embryonic human republic was largely forgotten by many, though some took a detached, clinical interest, studying them in secrecy to draw parallels with their own species' development towards spacefaring civilizations. Millennia ago, my species, the Alani, found themselves drawn to the fledgling interstellar polity of humans. We watched with benevolent pride as they embarked on their initial journeys into the vastness of space. There was an immediate sense of kinship with humans, not only due to their physical resemblance and anatomy, but also because they exhibited qualities that resonated deeply with our own. As they took their first steps into the void, we saw reflections of our own ancient beginnings and felt a shared destiny unfolding. Services alongside other species in the Commonwealth. Despite their relative youth and technological limitations compared to more advanced civilizations, humans displayed a remarkable resilience and insatiable curiosity. They ventured boldly into uncharted territories of space, driven by a boundless thirst for knowledge and discovery. From the earliest encounters, my species, the Elani, viewed humans not just as distant relations but as cherished cousins. While we maintained our arboreal lifestyle and distinctive prehensile tails, we saw in humans a reflection of ourselves, an innate drive to explore, learn, and adapt. We monitored their progress with a vested interest, observing their brave expeditions into perilous regions of the cosmos. Human scientists eagerly cataloged every facet of the universe they encountered, from the tiniest alien microbes on barren planets to the turbulent heart of stellar nurseries where exotic particles danced in cosmic winds. Explorers from Earth would chart courses towards distant stars simply to satisfy their curiosity, often discovering wonders beyond imagination. In the bustling trade routes of the galactic commonwealth, human traders carved out a niche, offering their goods and services alongside those of established species. Their presence added a vibrant diversity to the interstellar marketplace, where cultures and technologies intermingled, fostering a dynamic exchange of ideas and resources. Through it all, humans exemplified a spirit of relentless exploration and adaptation, embracing the challenges and risks of space travel with a determination that resonated deeply with our own ancestral journey. As fellow members of the Commonwealth, we Elani found ourselves inspired by their courage and optimism, envisioning a shared future among the stars. Curiosities to any who would buy them, we became enamored with this new species. After a few years of watching the humans, we decided to open official diplomatic channels and engage in first contact protocols. My father was the first appointed ambassador and was instrumental in forming a relationship with our cousin Kin. He quickly became their most ardent supporter within our government and would tell me many stories of these humans when I was a youngling. The one that stuck with me the most was when my father was describing how a Xenon ship filled with younglings on a school class trip was trapped by a subspace rift that suddenly appeared along their course. I could sense the awe and sadness in his voice as he described how dozens of human ships answered the distress call. Scout ships, cargo ships, pleasure craft, science vessels, even pirate ships all responded. He recalled watching the scene unfold on the humans' communication network with a mix of astonishment and admiration. The humans coordinated their efforts seamlessly despite the diversity of their vessels and backgrounds. They set up a makeshift rescue operation, pooling resources, sharing technology, and working tirelessly together to save the younglings. My father often remarked that it was this event that solidified his respect and admiration for humanity. Their capacity for compassion, cooperation, and bravery in the face of unknown dangers left an indelible mark on him and, subsequently, on me. From that point on, our relationship with the humans deepened. They were no longer just subjects of curiosity, but partners, friends, and allies. My father's stories always highlighted the best of what humanity had to offer, and served as a reminder of the potential for greatness in collaboration and understanding between different species. My father would often recall the incident with tears streaming down his face as he described how the human ships courageously tried to rescue the younglings, with many being outright destroyed or critically damaged in their attempts. It did not matter to them how many ships were lost or damaged. They just kept trying. Even more human ships would drop out of null space in response to the distress call and join the efforts. In the end, they successfully rescued the 25 Xenon younglings, but at a tremendous cost. 12 ships destroyed, dozens more critically damaged, and over 800 human lives lost. You could not help but be awed by their willingness to sacrifice themselves for the younglings of another alien species. They were undaunted by the dangers, and as soon as one ship was destroyed or critically damaged, another would take its place. It was an inspiring sight to behold, my father said after he finished the story. This incident, among many other examples of human bravery and selflessness, solidified our respect and admiration for them, coming to the aid of alien worlds and ships in times of calamity and distress. This dedication finally convinced our government to assist the humans in their development. It was strictly forbidden in the Commonwealth Charter to give primitive species technology that they had not yet developed. However, our government skirted these restrictions by various means. For example, Alani ships would mysteriously disappear or be destroyed by random anomalies near Human Republic space, only to be fortuitously recovered by human agents. The Xenon went even further. In gratitude for the human sacrifices in saving their younglings, they sent an unmarked, stealthed courier ship into human space. This ship was outfitted with their most advanced technology and contained a data repository of all their knowledge. In the following 20 cycles, the humans advanced rapidly with access to these technologies and knowledge secretly provided to them. This leap in their development not only strengthened their position, but also deepened the bonds between our species. What began as a relationship formed out of curiosity and cautious diplomacy had now evolved into a powerful alliance built on mutual respect and shared sacrifices. 300-year leap, much to the dismay of the Commonwealth. Hearings and investigations were held at the highest levels, but no proof was ever found that any of the members purposefully uplifted the humans. The issue was quietly shelved after a few cycles. By this time, the Human Republic had greatly expanded in size, and with the infusion of advanced technology, they were now considered a middle power. Their ships were everywhere, engaging in trade, scientific endeavors, and exploration. Our two species became kin and friends. Together with the Xenon, we tried in vain to lobby the Commonwealth to grant membership to the Human Republic, which was vehemently denied by a majority of the members. My father was livid, but the humans seemed to take no offense. The human ambassador took it in stride, remarking, "As long as they keep buying our goods, we could care less what they think of us. It is only the Alani and the Xenon who have shown us true friendship and respect." This pragmatic attitude further solidified our alliance and demonstrated the humans' resilience and adaptability. Despite the Commonwealth's resistance, the bond between our species and the humans continued to grow stronger. We found common ground in our shared values and experiences, creating a powerful coalition that would shape the future of our regions of space. Such was the situation in 2172 AD when the Insectoid Empire launched another wave of expansion and encroached on Commonwealth space. The insectoids were a hive mind composed of trillions of 1.5-meter-tall wasp analogs with vestigial wings, except for the queens who could still fly. They would periodically expand and engage in short, sharp conflicts with the Commonwealth and other non-aligned interstellar species, seizing territory. Since the planets the insectoids preferred were considered unfit for terraforming by most members of the Commonwealth, we would simply withdraw and allow them to have those worlds in the hopes of avoiding a large-scale conflict. It was impossible to engage in diplomacy or negotiations with the insectoids as their worldview was so radically different, and we could not bridge the communication gap. This time, however, the insectoid expansion threatened more than just uninhabitable worlds. They began to encroach on planets and space lanes vital to Commonwealth and Human Republic interests. Seeing the threat, the Human Republic, the Alani, and the Xenon quickly mobilized a joint fleet to counter the insectoid advance. The humans, with their rapidly developed technology and innovative tactics, played a crucial role in the defense. Their ships, now on par with some of the most advanced in the Commonwealth, took to the front lines with determination and bravery. The conflict was fierce, with the insectoids' relentless swarms clashing against the combined might of our fleets. Despite the challenges, the human-led coalition managed to hold the line, employing both superior firepower and strategic ingenuity. The insectoids, although numerous and formidable, were eventually pushed back, their expansion halted. This united effort not only showcased the strength and resilience of our alliance, but also further proved the value of humanity as a key player in interstellar affairs. The Commonwealth, witnessing this display of unity and strength, could no longer ignore the significance of the human republic. Though formal membership was still a contentious issue, the humans had undeniably earned their place among the stars as protectors, allies, and friends. The only communication the insectoids ever had with the Commonwealth was just 2 words: give, leave. Failure to do either resulted in combat. Their ships were numerous and exceedingly powerful, especially their hive ships, which made our largest battleships seem like youngling toys in comparison. The Commonwealth, expecting this wave to stop like the previous ones had once the insectoids acquired the planets they desired, was caught completely off guard when the insectoids penetrated the borders and thrust right into the heart of Commonwealth space. The Commonwealth fleet was caught out of position, and 6,000 insectoid cruisers swarmed out and wreaked havoc. They destroyed every ship they came across, while 60 of their massive hive ships glassed entire worlds trapped behind the lines, wiping out every living thing on those planets without mercy. Within 2 solar days, the devastation was unimaginable. The insectoids had reduced several key Commonwealth worlds to lifeless husks, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. It was clear that this was not a typical expansion wave, but a full-scale invasion. In this dire situation, the Human Republic, along with the Alani and the Zenin, responded swiftly. They launched a coordinated counteroffensive, using their combined fleets to strike at the insectoid forces. The humans, leveraging their rapidly advanced technology and tactical ingenuity, played a pivotal role in this counterattack. Human ships, with their unique blend of resilience and firepower, engaged the insectoid cruisers in fierce battles. They employed hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the insectoids' rigid hive-mind coordination to create chaos and confusion. Meanwhile, Ilani and Zenin forces focused on intercepting the hive ships, preventing them from reaching more Commonwealth worlds. Despite the overwhelming odds, the coalition forces managed to slow the insectoid advance. Key battles were fought in the orbit of strategic planets, where the humans showcased their determination and courage. Their ships, although fewer in number, stood firm against the relentless swarms, buying precious time for the Commonwealth to regroup and launch a larger counteroffensive. The turning point came when a daring strike team, composed of human and Zenin operatives, infiltrated one of the hive ships. They managed to plant a series of high-yield explosives within its core, causing a catastrophic chain reaction that obliterated the hive ship and sent shockwaves through the insectoid fleet. This bold move disrupted the hive mind's coordination, giving the Commonwealth and its allies a crucial advantage. As the tide turned, the insectoids began to retreat, their expansion halted, and their forces in disarray. The united effort of the Human Republic, the Ilani, and the Zenin had not only saved the Commonwealth from certain destruction, but had also forged an unbreakable bond between our species. The humans, once seen as mere curiosities, had proven themselves as indispensable allies, their bravery and ingenuity shining brightly in the darkest of times. Entire outlying border sectors of Commonwealth space were devoid of all life and ships, and 8 member species were completely exterminated at the cost of over 100 billion dead. The Commonwealth fleet was reduced to half of its former strength and issued a call for the remaining members to reinforce the battered main fleet with their planetary navies. We, Alani, along with all other members, sent what we could and hoped that it would be enough. The humans, having caught wind of the attack, sent an official government subspace communication with an already signed Treaty of Alliance and Mutual Defense Pact. However, the Commonwealth government arrogantly ignored this treaty, and the ambassador assigned to the humans did not deign to even respond to their offer of help. That was the first and last attempt by the humans to aid the Commonwealth in their time of need. The Commonwealth fleet, reinforced with the additional ships and resources from its member species, regrouped and prepared for a counteroffensive. The insectoid threat loomed large, but the Commonwealth's pride and bureaucratic inertia prevented them from accepting the human aid that could have potentially turned the tide more decisively. The humans, seeing their gesture rebuffed, focused their efforts on fortifying their own territories and protecting their allies, the Alani and the Zenin. Despite the Commonwealth's rejection, the Human Republic remained vigilant, understanding the broader threat posed by the insectoid empire. As the Commonwealth fleet engaged the insectoid forces once more, the battles were fierce and the losses heavy. The combined might of the Commonwealth's remaining ships and the courage of its soldiers managed to push back the insectoid invasion, but it came at a great cost. The insectoids, relentless and vast in number, inflicted severe damage, and it was clear that without a unified front, victory would be Pyrrhic at best. In the aftermath of the conflict, the Commonwealth stood weakened, and the losses were a stark reminder of the cost of arrogance and division. The humans, meanwhile, had solidified their alliances with the Alani and the Zenin, creating a formidable triad that began to gain influence and respect across the galaxy. This incident became a turning point, not just for the Commonwealth, but for interstellar politics as a whole. The humans, once seen as upstarts, had proven their worth and capability. Their refusal to be deterred by the Commonwealth's rejection only strengthened their resolve and unity with their true allies. The Commonwealth, humbled by its near destruction and the loss of so many lives and worlds, began to slowly reconsider its stance on the humans, recognizing that in the vast and perilous galaxy, old prejudices and arrogance had no place in the face of common threats. The Commonwealth fleet, now numbering over 2,000 ships of the line, initially met with success in their counterattack, destroying over 3,000 insectoid cruisers. However, the arrival of the 60 hive ships turned the tide of battle in favor of the insectoids. Within 2 hours, the Commonwealth fleet was reduced to just under 1,000 ships, having only managed to destroy an additional 300 insectoid cruisers and 1 hive ship. The surviving ships of the Commonwealth fleet disengaged from combat and made an orderly withdrawal towards the core worlds, hoping to entice the insectoids into following them. The core worlds were protected by powerful and massive defensive fortifications and planetary defense grids. The Admiralty planned to lure the insectoids into a trap, bracketing them between the heavily armed defensive systems and the remaining Commonwealth fleet. The insectoids, relentless and driven by their hive mind, followed the retreating fleet. As they approached the core worlds, the stage was set for a final decisive confrontation. The Commonwealth hoped that their strategy would finally halt the insectoid advance and save what remained of their civilization. As the insectoid fleet entered the core systems, they were met with a formidable array of defenses. Massive orbital platforms, armed with powerful energy weapons and missile systems, stood ready. Planetary defense grids capable of launching devastating counterattacks were fully operational. The Commonwealth fleet, though diminished, was strategically positioned to maximize their defensive capabilities. The battle that ensued was one of unprecedented scale and ferocity. The insectoids threw their full might against the Commonwealth defenses, but the trap laid by the Admiralty began to take effect. The heavily armed defensive systems and the coordinated efforts of the remaining Commonwealth fleet created a deadly crossfire, inflicting significant damage on the insectoid ships. Despite the overwhelming odds, the insectoids pressed on, their hive mind driving them to relentless assault. The Commonwealth forces, bolstered by the knowledge that this was their last stand, fought with unmatched determination and courage. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. Hive ship after hive ship was brought down, and the insectoid cruisers were decimated by the sustained firepower of the Commonwealth defenses. In a final, desperate push, the Commonwealth fleet launched an all-out assault on the remaining insectoid ships. The core world's defenses unleashed their full fury, and the combined might of the Commonwealth's last stand proved too much for the insectoids. One by one, the hive ships fell, and the insectoid fleet was broken. The victory came at a staggering cost, but it was a victory nonetheless. The insectoid threat was repelled, and the core worlds were saved. The Commonwealth, though battered and bloodied, had survived. In the aftermath, the members of the Commonwealth began to rebuild, learning from their mistakes and vowing never to let arrogance and division endanger them again. The humans, having watched from the sidelines, were vindicated in their decision to protect their own and their allies. The Commonwealth, now humbled, recognized the value of unity and cooperation, and the bonds between the humans, Ilani and Xenon, grew even stronger. Together, they began to forge a new path, one built on mutual respect, shared goals, and the hard-earned lessons of a galaxy that had nearly been lost. The insectoids stopped, lingering in the heliopause of the system. The Commonwealth fleet sent out multiple squadrons, executing hit-and-run attacks to elicit a response and lure the insectoids deeper into the system, within range of the defense systems. However, after hours of these tactics, the insectoids did the one thing the Admiralty did not plan for. They entered null space. The insectoids laid in a course and headed towards the untouched periphery of Commonwealth space, where another 4 members resided, including the Ilani. I remember sitting in our den with my father and birth mother, listening to the hollow wave continuously broadcasting our government's plea to the Commonwealth to come to our defense. The news organizations showed us drone sensor recordings of 2 member systems along the insectoid axis of attack. The recordings depicted scenes of devastation as the insectoids ravaged the worlds, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The Ilani and other peripheral members were now in grave danger. The Commonwealth, still reeling from the losses and disorganization caused by the initial insectoid assault, was slow to respond. The plea for assistance echoed through the halls of Commonwealth leadership, but bureaucracy and the ongoing core system defense delayed any immediate action. In the meantime, the Ilani, determined to protect their home, mobilized every available ship and defensive asset. They reached out to their human and Xenon allies, who responded swiftly. The Human Republic, still bristling from their previous offer of help being ignored, nonetheless dispatched a significant portion of their fleet to aid the Ilani. As the insectoids emerged from null space near the Ilani worlds, they were met not by defenseless planets, but by a prepared and coordinated defense. Human, Ilani, and Xenon ships formed a formidable line, ready to engage the insectoid threat. The humans, leveraging their advanced technology and tactical prowess, led the charge. The battle was fierce and chaotic. The insectoids, relentless as ever, attacked in overwhelming numbers. However, the coordinated defense proved effective. The Ilani, fighting for their very existence, displayed unmatched bravery. Human ships, employing hit-and-run tactics perfected from their previous engagements, inflicted significant damage on the insectoid fleet. The Xenon, with their advanced technology, provided crucial support and countermeasures against the hive ships. Despite the odds, the alliance held strong. The insectoids, unable to break through the determined defense, began to falter. The combined might of the Human Republic, Ilani and Xenon, forced the insectoids into a retreat. As they withdrew, they were harried by relentless attacks, ensuring they could not regroup or launch another immediate assault. The victory at the periphery was a turning point. It demonstrated the strength and effectiveness of the human-led coalition. The Commonwealth, witnessing this display of unity and resilience, could no longer deny the significance of the Human Republic and its allies. In the aftermath, the Commonwealth began to reconsider its stance on the humans and the broader coalition. The humans, Ilani and Xenon, had not only protected their own, but had also safeguarded the Commonwealth from further devastation. The alliance had proven its worth, and the bonds forged in the heat of battle would shape the future of interstellar politics. The insectoid threat, though not entirely eradicated, was significantly weakened. The Commonwealth, now aware of the importance of unity and cooperation, took steps to strengthen its alliances and ensure that such a near-catastrophic event would never happen again. The Human Republic, once underestimated, emerged as a key player in the galaxy, its friendship and support becoming indispensable in the quest for peace and security. Their home worlds and colonies were glassed, resulting in over 20 billion dead. The insectoid fleet was on a direct trajectory to hit our system next, expected to arrive in 5 solar days. Our entire world held its breath as we finally received a response from the chairman of the Commonwealth the next solar day. He looked like a broken being as he avoided looking at the holo recorder and, in a shaking voice, read from a prepared statement from the datapad on the desk in front of him. On the advice of my admirals and my cabinet, I regret to inform you that the fleet will not be able to come to your aid at this time. We will detach what remains of the Ilani contingent that you have sent and allow them to return to defend your system. They will arrive in 6 solar days, and we send them with our hopes and prayers that you will survive. The transmission was abruptly cut off, and another video came on, showing the chaos and despair among the Ilani population. Families huddled together, eyes wide with fear, as news of the Commonwealth's abandonment spread. The sense of betrayal and hopelessness was palpable. In our den, my father and birth mother held each other tightly, their faces etched with worry and determination. The Ilani, despite the dire situation, refused to give in to despair. They immediately reached out to the Human Republic and the Xenon for aid. Within hours, the humans responded, mobilizing their fleet and coordinating with the Xenon to provide the necessary support. The human and Xenon fleets, already experienced in fighting the insectoid menace, moved swiftly. The humans, with their advanced warp drives, managed to arrive in our system within 3 solar days, followed closely by the Xenon. The sight of their ships entering our skies brought a glimmer of hope to our beleaguered world. As the insectoid fleet approached, the Allied forces prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The humans, using their superior technology and tactical acumen, set up an intricate defensive network. They deployed powerful orbital defense platforms, armed to the teeth with cutting-edge weaponry, while the Xenon provided crucial intelligence and electronic warfare capabilities to disrupt the insectoid coordination. The battle commenced with the insectoids launching a massive assault. The combined human, Ilani, and Xenon forces met them head-on, fighting with unparalleled determination. The human ships, using their agility and firepower, executed hit-and-run tactics, targeting the insectoid hive ships and cruisers with precision. The Xenon, leveraging their technological prowess, jammed insectoid communications and provided real-time strategic updates. The Ilani, fueled by the need to protect their home, fought valiantly alongside their allies. Every ship, every defense platform played its part in the desperate struggle. The insectoids, relentless and numerous, pressed their attack, but the unity and coordination of the Allied forces began to turn the tide. After a grueling and protracted battle, the insectoid fleet started to falter. The loss of several hive ships disrupted their command structure, and the relentless onslaught from the human and Xenon ships decimated their ranks. Finally, with a concerted push, the Allied forces broke the insectoid advance, driving them back and ensuring the survival of the Ilani world. The victory came at a cost, with many ships damaged or destroyed and countless lives lost. However, the successful defense marked a significant turning point. The Ilani, saved from annihilation, were filled with gratitude towards their human and Xenon allies. The Commonwealth, witnessing this display of unity and resilience, could no longer deny the importance of the human republic and its contributions. In the aftermath, the bonds between the human republic, Alani, and Zenin grew even stronger. The Commonwealth, humbled by the near-catastrophic event, began to reassess its policies and attitudes, recognizing that in a galaxy full of threats, unity and cooperation were paramount. The humans, once underestimated and sidelined, had proven themselves as indispensable allies, their bravery and ingenuity paving the way for a more unified and resilient interstellar community. To gather himself, his eyes reflecting a mix of worry and determination. "We have allies," he said softly, as if reassuring himself as much as us. In those tense moments, as my father comforted my birth mother and tried to calm me, the weight of our impending doom hung heavy in the air. The insectoid fleet, relentless and unstoppable, was closing in on our system. The Commonwealth's abandonment had left us vulnerable, relying solely on the bravery and determination of our allies. Outside our den, the hum of activity intensified as preparations for the defense reached a fever pitch. Human and Zenin fleets converged, forming a formidable defensive line around our planets. The Alani, fortified by the arrival of their allies, bolstered their own defenses, determined to protect their homeworlds at all costs. As the hours passed and the insectoid fleet approached, tension mounted. The skies above our world darkened with the ominous presence of enemy ships. The Allied forces, coordinated and resolute, awaited the inevitable clash. Then, on the 5th solar day since the insectoid's arrival in our system, the battle began. The insectoids launched a massive assault, their ships swarming like a dark cloud across the heavens. The human and Zenin fleets, positioned strategically around our planets, met the onslaught head-on. The human ships, sleek and agile, darted between enemy cruisers, unleashing devastating barrages of energy fire. The Zenin, masters of technology and tactics, coordinated precise strikes that targeted weak points in the insectoid formations. Together with the Alani, who fought with unmatched bravery and determination, they formed a united front against the overwhelming enemy force. The battle raged on, a symphony of chaos and destruction in the void of space. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships on both sides were torn apart. The insectoids, driven by their relentless hive mind, pressed their attack with ferocity. But the Allied forces, driven by their shared resolve and unity, pushed back with equal determination. Hours turned into days as the battle ebbed and flowed. The stakes were clear. Victory meant survival. Defeat meant annihilation. The human president's words echoed in our minds, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. "We are the Republic, and we will answer the call." Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of fighting, the tide began to turn. The Allied forces, drawing on their courage and tactical prowess, gained the upper hand. Hive ships fell one by one, their colossal forms engulfed in flames. Insectoid cruisers, once numerous and imposing, dwindled under the relentless assault of the human-led coalition. As dawn broke on the 6th solar day, the last remnants of the insectoid fleet retreated. The battle-weary Allied forces, battered but victorious, watched as the enemy ships vanished into the void. Cheers erupted across our world and throughout the Allied fleets. We had survived against all odds. In the aftermath, as we mourned our losses and counted our blessings, the bonds between the human republic, Alani, and Zenin were stronger than ever. The Commonwealth, humbled by the resilience and bravery of its allies, began to reassess its policies and relationships. The lesson of unity in the face of adversity had been learned, and the galaxy would never be the same. For me, sitting there in our den amidst the echoes of battle, I realized the true meaning of courage and sacrifice. My father, holding my birth mother close, looked at me with pride and relief. "We have allies," he repeated, his voice steady and sure. And in that moment, I understood that no matter the challenges ahead, as long as we stood united, there was hope for our future in the vast expanse of the stars. I have seen one of their warships, and I have studied their history of warfare against each other. There is not a single species in the Commonwealth that would be able to stand against them, despite the technological differences. He paused, choosing his words carefully. The nice, friendly humans we know have another side to them, a side that no one else has ever seen in a spacefaring civilization. People like the humans tend to destroy themselves before. Reaching space against all odds, they faced the great filter. His eyes took on an expression I had never seen before as he stood up and gripped my arms. The human ambassador shared a saying after the Commonwealth rejected our membership proposal. There is no greater friend and no worse enemy than a human being. God help them if they ever attack us or our allies. It wasn't a boast, my youngling. It was a truth spoken with a conviction I had never heard from another sentient being. You know the sacrifices they made to save those 25 Zenin younglings, though they didn't know that day. Imagine what they would do for their friends and allies. He released my arms and embraced me. Fear not, our friends are on the way, and they will save us all. His conviction echoed deep into my heart, filling me with reassurance. Peace washed over me as tears of hope and joy silently streamed down my face while I rested in his comforting embrace, for the first time believing that perhaps we wouldn't meet our end after all. Over the next 2 solar days, we anxiously awaited the arrival of the humans, monitoring the relentless advance of the insectoid fleet towards our homeworld through the recordings of our sensor drones. Understandably, our government sent periodic inquiries every few hours, desperate to know when the Republic fleet would arrive. The only reply we received was cryptic and terse: "We are coming." Finally, on the 3rd solar day, just 1 day before the expected arrival of the insectoids, a transmission reached us from the outskirts of our solar system. "We are here." This was swiftly followed by a request from the Republic fleet seeking permission from our government to enter. Permission was swiftly granted, and every news feed, holocamera, sensor buoy, and satellite was trained on the anticipated coordinates. It felt as though time itself had slowed to a crawl as we awaited the unfolding of events that would decide our fate. Standing still, the very heart of the world seemed to stop beating as billions of Alani awaited their last hope to emerge from null space. Then it happened. First in small numbers, then dozens, then hundreds of null space exit flashes began to appear all across the near space of Alenia, sparkling in our sky like new stars, even visible on the daytime side of our world. The hollow news channel we were glued to displayed a ticker on the side, rapidly updating with the number of ships, their estimated classes, and tonnage. The numbers ticked upward so swiftly it was almost impossible to keep track. Fathers and birth mothers embraced, shedding tears of joy, while I stood there in stunned silence, mouth agape, watching the staggering figures unfold on the screen. 3,250, 3,960, 4,789, 5,347, 6,100, 6,455. The count continued until it gradually slowed, finally settling on 6,194 ships. The cameras panned back, capturing the vastness of the enormous fleet, while sensor drones conducted flybys, relaying visuals to every holowave screen on Alania. The scene revealed dozens of massive carriers surrounded by thousands of starfighters buzzing around them. Over 500 battleships loomed in formation, alongside thousands of cruisers, destroyers, and other unidentified vessels that scanners struggled to classify. Another transmission from the fleet appeared on the holowave screens, showcasing a human male in a resolute military uniform standing on a commanding bridge. Behind him, hundreds of humans worked diligently at data screens. "People of Elania," his voice echoed through the transmission, "we are the Republic fleet, and we have come to aid our friends in their hour of need. We honor our commitments, and I assure you, if the insectoids prevail, it will only be because every Republic ship has been destroyed. We are humans, and we do not retreat. We are here to fight and to win." Admiral Thompson's final words lingered in our minds as we sought safety according to our government's orders. Throughout the system, the Republic fleet began to disperse into task forces centered around the massive carriers, while destroyers deployed numerous unidentified objects from their sterns, each disappearing on randomized trajectories. On the holowave screens, news anchors speculated endlessly about the Republic's strategies, while retired military analysts attempted to decipher the purpose of the enigmatic unknown ships that defied all attempts at scanning. The discussions continued for hours, interspersed with moments of feasting on our favorite foods, a bittersweet meal as we acknowledged it might be our last, despite clinging to hope that the humans would indeed rescue us. Slowly, one by one, we succumbed to sleep, lulled by the incessant hum of urgent news updates and the distant activity of the fleet above. The hollow screen split to show live feeds and videos of both the Republic and insectoid fleets engaged in a tense standoff just beyond the orbit of Alania. On another display, a top-down view depicted the battle lines with icons representing friendly and enemy ships, color-coded for clarity. From the vantage point of a sensor drone positioned above the plane of the ecliptic, the Republic's battle fleets meticulously positioned themselves according to plan. Meanwhile, the mysterious unknown ships vanished into null space in a series of brilliant flashes of light. Carriers unleashed swarms of starfighters, while battle groups from colossal battleships and cruisers maneuvered into strategic defensive positions. The scene unfolding before us was both mesmerizing and terrifying, a testament to the imminent clash between two formidable forces. We watched in awe and apprehension, knowing that the fate of Alania hung precariously in the balance. With their cruiser escorts powering up to full speed, the engineers of the Republic fleet surged towards the flanks of their battle lines. Hundreds of destroyers spread out in chaotic patterns, armed with advanced point defense systems and countermeasure suites, ready to protect their larger brethren and intercept any sudden attacks. The insectoids adhered to their traditional tactics, forming a formidable solid sphere with all 59 hive ships tightly packed together to provide mutual fire support. Surrounding them, insectoid cruisers formed a protective screen on all sides, with reserves trailing behind like the mailed fist of a medieval knight. In a bold move, the insectoid fleet transmitted a single word to the Republic fleet: "Leave." The Republic's response came swiftly about a minute later, echoing defiance. "Our homeworld is not yours to rule. We will fight you to the last ship." The scene unfolded with a video showing a human, smiling, setting fire to a nest as hundreds of wasps poured out, only to be swiftly incinerated, accompanied by a cheerful jingle in the background. Below the video, in standard galactic text, were the words, "Trouble with wasps? No problem. Call the Republic fleet to take care of it today." The Republic fleet broadcasted this video across every frequency, bandwidth, and channel known to the galaxy, ensuring its message reached far and wide. On Alania, the holowave screens echoed with the same transmission, capturing the attention of its inhabitants. In response, both my father and I burst into uproarious laughter, while my mother anxiously wrung her hands, disapprovingly observing our reaction. As the hive mind of the insectoids processed the Republic's provocative response, the insectoid fist formation abruptly accelerated toward the Republic battle lines. Particle beams lanced out from their ships, marking the commencement of the Battle of Alania in the Earth year 2172 AD. A pivotal clash for the queen world of the hive mother seethed with impotent rage in her brood chamber, her consciousness linked to millions of worker drones in the swarm. Through their myriad eyes, she watched the mocking images broadcasted by the Republic fleet, each facet converging to form a vivid three-dimensional tableau. It depicted an unknown creature callously burning an innocent nest, its visage twisted in pleasure, a stark foreshadowing of the threat these newcomers posed to her swarm. Despite her fury, a sense of disquiet crept over her as she surveyed the imposing Republic fleet arrayed against her. Uncertainty gnawed at her as she contemplated the risks posed by these unfamiliar adversaries. Her queen daughter's counsel echoed in her mind. The time for decisive action had arrived. Suppressing her anger, she focused on the critical chemical processes needed to sustain and multiply her workforce. Her body resumed the intricate task of larval impregnation, dispatching freshly formed drones from her birthing chamber. In the midst of this pivotal moment, a male drone mindlessly intruded into her chamber, oblivious to the weight of the decisions unfolding around them. She knew that despite her weariness, the survival of the hive depended on her unwavering commitment. Gathering her resolve, she began to direct the laboring workers, signaling them with subtle pheromones that conveyed urgency and purpose. In the vast chamber, illuminated by bioluminescent fungi clinging to the walls, the hive mother moved with deliberate grace. Her thoughts were now filled with the coordinated efforts of her daughters, each engaged in their specialized roles, nurturing larvae, tending to the intricate fungal gardens, and defending against potential threats from the hostile environment outside. As she navigated through the bustling corridors of the hive, memories flickered briefly in her consciousness. Images of distant worlds she had never seen but knew existed from the tales passed down through generations. She recalled stories of a time when the hive roamed freely under open skies before they became confined to this subterranean existence. Her thoughts returned to the present as she approached the birthing chamber, where new life was emerging in a continuous cycle of creation and renewal. The sight of the newborn workers brought a surge of pride and determination. Each one represented a future for the hive, a testament to her enduring leadership. With the support of her queen daughter's telepathic reassurances echoing in her mind, the hive mother felt a profound sense of purpose. Despite the challenges and sacrifices, she was driven by an innate duty to ensure the hive's survival and prosperity. As she continued her vigil, she silently vowed to cherish every moment of this existence, fleeting though it may be, and to strive for the day when her descendants might once again feel the warmth of a distant sun. Her daughter, the queen leading the 8th swarm, had deftly outmaneuvered the anticipated trap set by the unknown animal ships. The hive mother's telepathic connection with her daughters allowed her to experience the exhilaration and triumph alongside the swarm daughter. As the chaotic dispersal of the animal ships unfolded before her mind's eye, the hive mother maintained a focused vigilance. She knew that even in apparent retreat, these creatures could regroup or call upon reinforcements. Her strategic mind began calculating the next steps, anticipating potential counterattacks or new tactics from the animal ships. Through the collective consciousness shared with her daughters, the hive mother sensed the heightened alertness and readiness among her swarm. The recent encounter had sharpened their instincts and fortified their unity. Each drone and worker within the hive moved with purpose, reinforcing defenses and preparing for any future engagements. Amidst the ongoing preparations, the hive mother allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The cycle of challenge and adaptation was inherent in their existence, a testament to their resilience as a hive. She felt a surge of pride in her daughter's capabilities and a renewed determination to safeguard their collective future. As she continued to monitor the hive's surroundings through the eyes of her drones, the hive mother remained poised, ready to guide and protect her daughters through whatever trials lay ahead in the vast and unpredictable cosmos beyond their underground sanctuary. The hive mother felt a surge of anguish and desperation as she witnessed the catastrophic turn of events unfolding before her. Her swarm daughter, caught in the trap she had feared, was now facing a barrage of deadly firepower from the animal ships. Through her connection with the drones and workers, the hive mother could sense the chaos and devastation spreading through the ranks. The drones in the reserves reacted with alarm, their minds echoing with the shockwaves of destruction and loss. Frantically, the hive mother attempted to reach out to her swarm daughter, trying to guide her out of harm's way. The telepathic link strained under the intensity of battle, but she persisted, sending urgent signals of retreat and redirection. However, amidst the onslaught, communication became fragmented, drowned out by the cacophony of weapons fire and the psychic turmoil of her drones. The hive mother's mind raced with strategies, assessing the extent of the damage and calculating the next steps to salvage what remained of her swarm. Amidst the devastation, she felt a profound sense of responsibility and grief. Each life lost weighed heavily on her heart, a reminder of the fragile balance between survival and sacrifice in their relentless struggle for existence. As the battle continued to unfold, the hive mother focused her energies on coordinating the remaining forces, rallying them to regroup and defend against further attacks. She knew that the survival of the hive depended on their resilience and unity in the face of adversity. In the depths of her consciousness, amidst the turmoil and anguish, the hive mother vowed to learn from this harrowing experience, to strengthen their defenses and to honor the memory of those who had bravely fought under her command. The Hive Mother's anguish deepened as she witnessed the devastating precision and overwhelming firepower of the animal ships and the inexplicable maneuvers of the spirit ships. The loss of hundreds of thousands of worker drones and the severe damage to Hive ships struck a heavy blow to the Hive's defenses. Amidst the carnage, the Hive Mother struggled to maintain her composure and focus. Her mind raced with urgent commands and strategies to mitigate the escalating disaster. The spirit ships, unseen and unpredictable, posed a new and unforeseen threat. Their advanced technology and maneuvers defied the Hive Mother's understanding of conventional warfare. She realized with grim determination that their presence signaled a formidable adversary, one that required immediate adaptation and resilience. With the remnants of her swarm reeling from the onslaught, the Hive Mother rallied her queen daughters and remaining forces. Through their telepathic bond, she communicated urgency and resolve, urging them to regroup and defend what remained of their hive. In the midst of the chaos, a sense of grim determination settled over the Hive Mother. Despite the staggering losses and the overwhelming odds, she refused to yield. The survival of her hive and the future of her daughters depended on her unwavering leadership and strategic acumen. As the battle continued to unfold with relentless ferocity, the Hive Mother focused on assessing the enemy's tactics and weaknesses. She knew that every decision could tip the balance between survival and annihilation. In the depths of her consciousness, amidst the turmoil and devastation, the Hive Mother silently vowed to adapt, to learn from this devastating encounter, and to ensure that her hive would rise stronger from the ashes of this catastrophic battle. The Hive Mother felt a surge of frustration and desperation as the battle escalated into a maelstrom of particle beams, plasma bolts, and relentless attacks from the tiny gnat ships. The spirit ships, despite some being damaged and unable to escape, continued to wreak havoc with their advanced maneuvers and precise targeting. Their ability to evade and retaliate with deadly accuracy added to the Hive Mother's mounting challenges. Amidst the onslaught, the Hive Mother struggled to maintain cohesion among her forces. The disordered formation of hive ships, reeling from the combined assault of the animal ships and gnat swarm, faced a critical moment of survival. Through her telepathic link with her daughters and the remaining drones, the Hive Mother conveyed urgent commands and strategic adjustments. She directed the hive ships to concentrate fire on the most immediate threats while coordinating defensive maneuvers to evade the relentless onslaught of penetrator missiles and gnat ships. The battlefield became a chaotic symphony of destruction, with hive ships firing back with renewed determination while attempting to shield vulnerable sections from incoming fire. The Hive Mother's mind raced with tactical decisions, calculating the best course of action to minimize losses and turn the tide of the battle in their favor. Despite the overwhelming odds and the toll of the relentless assault, the Hive Mother refused to yield. Her determination to protect her hive and her daughters burned fiercely within her. Every loss, every sacrifice, fueled her resolve to fight on, to adapt, and to ensure that her hive would endure. As the battle continued to unfold with brutal intensity, the Hive Mother's focus narrowed to the immediate task at hand: survival. She knew that the outcome of this conflict would shape the future of their hive and the destiny of her daughters. Amidst the turmoil and devastation, she silently vowed to persevere, to learn from their adversaries, and to emerge stronger from this crucible of war. The devastation wrought by the antimatter charges and the relentless barrage from the gnat ships had taken a heavy toll on their fleet. Despite the valiant efforts of the hive ships and cruisers to defend themselves, the sheer numbers and ferocity of the attackers seemed insurmountable. Secondary explosions ripped through the damaged hulls, further weakening their defenses and scattering worker drones into the vacuum of space. The Hive Mother's heart sank as she witnessed the wholesale destruction of their cruisers and hive ships. The gnat ships, driven by relentless determination, continued their assault with precision and ruthless efficiency. Even as their numbers dwindled from the counterattacks of the hive's point defense weapons, they pressed on, targeting vulnerabilities and exploiting every opportunity. In the face of such overwhelming adversity, the Hive Mother's resolve remained unyielding. Through the telepathic link with her daughters and the remaining hive forces, she conveyed a message of defiance and determination. They would fight to the last drone, defend their hive with every ounce of strength they possessed. As the battle raged on, the hive mother's mind raced with strategies to salvage what remained of their forces. Every decision, every command was crucial now. She directed surviving ships to form defensive perimeters, covering the wounded and vulnerable as they attempted to regroup amidst the chaos. Amidst the turmoil and devastation, a flicker of hope remained within the hive mother. She knew that their survival now hinged on cunning, resilience, and perhaps an unforeseen opportunity amidst the chaos of battle. With grim determination, she steeled herself for the next phase of the conflict, knowing that the fate of their hive and the future of her daughters depended on their ability to endure and adapt in the face of relentless aggression. As the remaining fleet, low on fuel and battered from the relentless assault, began executing evasive maneuvers to retreat, the hive mother observed with grim determination. The point defenses managed to target and intercept hundreds of gnats attempting to pursue, providing a brief moment of respite amidst the chaos. However, her relief was short-lived as the dreaded spirit ships materialized once more from null space. With eerie precision, they accelerated into the heart of the fractured fist formation, unleashing devastating triple shots of particle beams. Their coordinated attack targeted ships still capable of defending themselves, disrupting their point defenses and wreaking havoc among already heavily damaged cruisers and hive ships. Knowing the critical nature of the moment, the hive mother took direct control of all weaponized worker drones. She coordinated a concentrated barrage, directing every available particle beam towards a single spirit ship. Hundreds of beams converged from all directions, enveloping the enemy vessel until it exploded in a spectacular display of destruction. Despite this small victory, the battle continued to rage with intensity. The spirit ships, operating with uncanny unity, pressed their advantage relentlessly. The hive mother knew that their survival now depended on swift and decisive action. She strategized furiously, rallying her daughters and the remaining hive forces to defend what remained of their fleet and turn the tide against their formidable adversaries. In the crucible of war, amidst the chaos and destruction, the hive mother's determination burned brighter than ever. Every decision, every maneuver, was crucial now as they fought to protect their hive and ensure the future of their daughters in the face of overwhelming odds. The hive mother's heart sank as she sensed the turmoil and fear within her swarm daughters' thoughts. Amidst the chaos and destruction surrounding them, she struggled to maintain her composure, her mind racing with concern and determination to reach her daughter. Focusing through the telepathic bond that connected them, the hive mother called out once more, her thoughts echoing with urgency and reassurance. "Swarm daughter, can you hear me?" She waited anxiously for a response, her senses attuned to the faintest hint of acknowledgement amidst the tumult of battle. After a tense moment, a surge of relief washed over the hive mother as she felt the presence of her swarm daughter's mind in hers. The connection was strained but intact, filled with a mixture of fear, determination, and the fierce will to survive. "I'm here, Mother," came the reply, a voice of defiance amidst the chaos. "We're regrouping, but it's bad. Many ships lost. We're trying to hold together." The hive mother nodded inwardly, her thoughts transmitting strength and solidarity. "Stay strong, my daughter. We will endure this trial. Rally the survivors. We fight on." With renewed determination, the hive mother surveyed the battlefield through the eyes of her drones. The debris field around them bore testament to the fierce battle that had raged moments before. Hive ships, listed and damaged, some beyond repair, attested to the heavy toll exacted by their adversaries. In the distance, the spirit ships had retreated into null space, their presence a lingering threat that could return at any moment. The animal hive ships, having deployed the gnat ships as distractions, were regrouping, likely preparing for another assault. The hive mother knew that they couldn't afford to rest. Every moment of respite was precious, a fleeting opportunity to reinforce their defenses and strategize for what lay ahead. She marshaled her daughters and the remaining hive ships, instilling them with resolve and purpose as they prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them in the vast expanse of space. Amidst the debris and devastation, amidst the echoes of battle and the silent determination of her daughters, the Hive Mother steeled herself for the next phase of their struggle. Together, they would persevere, drawing strength from their unity and their shared determination to protect their hive and secure a future for their kind. The Hive Mother's mind raced with the weight of responsibility as she assumed command of her swarm daughter's hive ship. The decision to temporarily suspend her queen daughter's consciousness was not made lightly, but in the heat of battle, decisive action was necessary. With the crew accepting the presence of their new commander, guided by the queen hormones released through pheromones, the Hive Mother focused on rallying their defenses. The commander drone, now under her control, coordinated with efficiency born of experience and determination. As the hive ship's weapons drones responded to her commands, unleashing a torrent of lasers and missiles towards the animal formations, the Hive Mother monitored the battlefield closely. Each shot was calculated to disrupt and disorient their adversaries, to create openings and opportunities for their battered fleet to regroup and defend themselves. Amidst the chaos and devastation, the Hive Mother's thoughts were with her sleeping swarm daughter, nestled safely in her queen chambers. She knew that the mantle of leadership weighed heavy on her daughter's shoulders, as it did on her own. Yet in this moment she drew strength from their bond and from the resilience of their hive. With each passing moment, the battle unfolded with fierce intensity. The animal formations, momentarily thrown into disarray by the sudden onslaught, began to regroup and retaliate. The spirit ships, their tactics fluid and unpredictable, posed a constant threat on the periphery of the battlefield. The Hive Mother knew that their survival depended on unity and strategic ingenuity. She directed her hive ship's defenses with precision, anticipating the enemy's maneuvers and adjusting their tactics accordingly. Every decision was a gamble, a calculation of risk and reward in the pursuit of their hive's survival. As the battle wore on, the Hive Mother's resolve remained unyielding. She commanded her hive ship with authority, her mind a beacon of determination amidst the chaos. Amidst the debris and the clash of energies, she fought not just for survival, but for the future of their hive and the legacy of her daughters. The Hive Mother's mind raced with urgency as she assessed the dire situation unfolding around her dwindling formation. The animal battleships, now completing their flanking maneuvers, threatened to encircle and overwhelm her hive ships. Meanwhile, the swarm of tiny animal cruisers intercepted most of her hive's missiles and disrupted their laser fire control systems, complicating their defensive efforts. Amidst the chaos, the Hive Mother's focus sharpened. She flitted through the hive ship's network, gathering views from worker drones stationed at every angle. The perilous reality of their predicament was starkly clear. They were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and rapidly running out of options. "I need to get us out of here," she thought urgently to herself. The survival of her hive depended on evading the tightening noose of the animal fleet and finding a way to regroup and reassess their strategy. As she pondered their next move, a sudden explosion rocked the formation. An animal cruiser, heavily damaged from previous skirmishes, rammed into another hive ship with devastating results. The ensuing catastrophe further underscored the lethal stakes of their battle. With resolve hardening in her heart, the Hive Mother issued swift commands through the hive ship's systems. She directed remaining drones to execute evasive maneuvers while coordinating a strategic withdrawal towards open space. Every moment counted as they sought to break free from the encircling animal ships and gain a temporary reprieve from the relentless assault. Amidst the turmoil and devastation, the Hive Mother remained resolute. She knew that their survival now hinged on swift and decisive action. As the hive ships maneuvered to evade the encroaching enemy, she silently vowed to protect her daughters, their hive, and to find a path towards eventual victory amidst the stars. The Hive Mother's heart sank as she witnessed the catastrophic destruction unfolding within her increasingly smaller swarm. The mini supernova that engulfed one of their hive ships had already claimed another hive ship and numerous animal cruisers in its devastating wake. Despite the staggering casualties inflicted upon the animal fleet, over 1,000 ships destroyed, the relentless onslaught continued unabated. The enemy, driven by relentless determination, pressed on with their attack, engaging her remaining hive ships in a brutal and close-quarters slugging match. The animal battleship wings, now fully engaged within her formation, unleashed massive broadsides of grape shot and depleted uranium rail gun slugs. The grape shot shredded through her hive ship's point defenses with merciless efficiency, while the railgun slugs punched giant holes through their hulls, causing catastrophic damage and creating massive exit breaches on the opposite sides of the hive ships. The hive mother's mind raced with the urgency of the situation. Every passing moment brought them closer to potential annihilation. She coordinated frantic defensive maneuvers, directing surviving hive ships to evade incoming fire and target the most immediate threats. The secondary plasma turrets of the animal battleships and heavy cruisers intensified the onslaught, unleashing thousands of heavy plasma bolts that carved deeper into the already wounded hive ships. Amidst the chaos and carnage, the hive mother's determination burned fiercely. She knew that their survival now depended on resilience and ingenuity. As her hive ships fought valiantly against overwhelming odds, she strategized for a desperate escape route, seeking any opportunity to regroup and find a path towards sanctuary amidst the vastness of space. In the midst of destruction and despair, the hive mother's thoughts turned to her daughters and the legacy of their hive. With grim resolve, she vowed to protect what remained of their fleet, to honor the sacrifice of those who had fallen, and to forge a path towards a future where their hive could endure and thrive once more. The hive mother's mind reeled from the devastating losses inflicted upon her hive. The image of gaping holes in mortally wounded hive ships, surrounded by the wreckage of human battleships and heavy cruisers, haunted her thoughts. The ferocity of the human assault had been overwhelming. Despite destroying 42 battleships and 132 heavy cruisers, their own losses had been catastrophic. 11 more hive ships had been lost, leaving only a handful of survivors clustered together amidst the debris of battle. As the surviving human battleship wings retreated into null space, the hive mother braced herself for what came next. However, her shock deepened as the spirit ships reappeared once more, weaving effortlessly through her beleaguered formation. Their sudden incursion disrupted her attempts to mount a counterattack, resulting in the loss of 5 more heavily damaged hive ships. The realization of their vulnerability struck hard. The spirit ships, elusive and deadly, had inflicted devastating blows without suffering any consequences themselves. Their ability to appear and disappear at will made them a formidable adversary beyond anything the hive had faced before. No more, the hive mother resolved silently within herself. She knew that continuing the battle would only lead to further losses. With grim determination, she made the difficult decision to end the fight. The remnants of their once mighty swarm were now condensed into a small, perfectly spherical formation, comprising 14 undamaged hive ships and their remaining escorts. As the battle subsided into an uneasy calm, the hive mother's thoughts turned to their next steps. They would need to regroup, assess their losses, and strategize for their survival in the face of such formidable foes. The future of their hive hung in the balance, and she vowed to lead her daughters and remaining forces with wisdom and strength, determined to ensure their survival and eventual resurgence amidst the vastness of space. The hive mother's momentary sense of safety shattered as the swarm of stealth mines deployed by human destroyers sprang into action. From the commander drone's viewpoint, she witnessed thousands of tiny objects materializing out of thin air, hurtling towards their fleet with deadly intent. The stealth mines, designed to evade detection until the last moment, latched onto the hulls of her remaining hive ships, detonating in rapid succession upon contact. The explosions ripped through the already battered hive ships, sending shockwaves of destruction and chaos through their ranks. Hull breaches opened up, exposing vital systems to the cold vacuum of space. Worker drones scrambled desperately to contain the damage, but the relentless onslaught of the stealth mines continued unabated. The hive mother's mind raced with urgency as she assessed the gravity of their situation. Their escape towards the inner system had led them directly into a meticulously laid trap by the human forces. The stealth mines, with their precise targeting and explosive power, threatened to decimate what remained of their fleet. Amidst the chaos and devastation, the hive mother made swift decisions. She directed surviving hive ships to deploy defensive measures, activating countermeasures, and deploying drones to neutralize incoming mines. Every moment was a battle for survival as they struggled to navigate through the deadly minefield. As the explosions continued to rock their formation, the Hive Mother's resolve hardened. She coordinated with her daughters and remaining crew, urging them to maintain focus and determination amidst the chaos. Their survival now depended on swift action, strategic thinking, and a measure of luck against the human force's cunning traps. In the crucible of battle, amidst the explosions and debris, the Hive Mother fought not just for survival, but for the future of their hive and the legacy of her daughters. With each passing moment, she vowed to protect what remained of their fleet and to find a way to turn the tide against their formidable adversaries. The first stealth mines triggered their charges, tearing chunks out of the hive ships' hulls with explosive force. The sheer number of mines overwhelmed their defenses, causing catastrophic decompressions throughout their already weakened fleet. As more and more hive ships suffered breaches, thousands of worker drones were ejected into the unforgiving void of space. The Hive Mother watched in despair as the relentless assault continued unabated, the tiny mines relentlessly homing in on her own hive ship. In a moment of heartbreaking realization, she understood that it was too late to save the Queen's chamber where her swarm daughter lay sleeping. Panic and grief surged within her as hundreds of mines latched onto her hive ship, triggering their charges in a series of devastating explosions. "No!" she wailed silently in her mind, the anguish echoing through her consciousness. The Hive Mother's thoughts raced with horror and despair as she grappled with the sudden and violent loss unfolding around her. The hive ship convulsed under the impact of multiple explosions, the violent decompression tearing through its structure. In the midst of the chaos and destruction, the Hive Mother's connection to the commander drone was abruptly severed. Her awareness fragmented as the hive ship's systems faltered under the relentless assault. Pain and loss washed over her as she felt the hive ship's demise and the tragic loss of her daughter's chamber. The Hive Mother's mind reeled, grappling with the devastating toll of the battle. She clung to the remnants of her resolve, determined to honor the memory of her daughters and the legacy of their hive. Amidst the debris and wreckage, amidst the echoes of her grief, she vowed to persevere, to endure, and to fight on for the survival of her kind amidst the vast expanse of the cosmos. The Hive Mother's mind reeled from the sudden shift back to her brood chamber on the Queen world. The stark contrast from the chaos of battle to the somber stillness of her sanctuary. The loss of her swarm daughter weighed heavily upon her. Silent screams of anguish reverberated within her as she grappled with a pain unlike any she had felt before. In her grief-stricken state, she sought solace in her remaining queen daughters, feeling their attempts to comfort and share in her sorrow. Yet she found herself blocking them out, consumed by a singular resolve: to salvage what remained of their shattered swarm. Redirecting her focus, the Hive Mother plunged her consciousness back into the reality of the surviving hive ships. From the viewpoint of worker drones aboard the few ships that had escaped the minefield, she witnessed the continued devastation as more drones succumbed to the relentless assault of the mines. Each loss added to her burden of sorrow. In the end, only 2 hive ships and 34 cruisers managed to escape the deadly trap, making the jump into null space. The enormity of their losses fueled a rage within her, a primal fury at the senseless destruction wrought upon their hive. Unable to contain her anguish and rage, the Hive Mother's emotions erupted. In a moment of uncontrollable fury, she lashed out at a male drone who entered her brood chamber at an inopportune moment. With a strength born of grief and anger, she seized the drone and tore him apart at the junction between his thorax and abdomen. The drone's lifeless halves fell to the floor, a grim reminder of the cost of their failure. Watching the drone twitch in its death throes, she chastised herself for losing control, for allowing her emotions to overpower her in such a raw and violent manner. As she stood amidst the remnants of her sanctuary, the Hive Mother's resolve hardened once more. The loss of her swarm daughter and so many others weighed heavily upon her, but she knew that their fight for survival was far from over. With grim determination, she vowed to rebuild their strength, to forge a path forward amidst the ashes of defeat, and to ensure that their hive would endure no matter the cost. The hive mother's anguish and rage reverberated through her as she grappled with the devastating loss of her swarm daughter. In her brood chamber on the queen world, she felt her remaining 11 queen daughters trying to connect with her mind. Initially blocking them out in her grief-stricken state, she eventually lifted the barrier, allowing their thoughts and emotions to flood into hers. Together, they mourned the death of their sister queen. The collective grief and sorrow threatened to overwhelm the hive mother, but she embraced it, letting the intense emotions fuel her determination for vengeance. In their shared sorrow, they acknowledged the rarity of a queen's death in battle, a profound loss that cut deep into their genetic lineage. "My daughters," the hive mother projected her thoughts to them, her voice echoing with resolve amidst the grief. "We will honor her memory. We will swarm with purpose. Decide among yourselves who will lead the efforts to rebuild our swarms and who will remain to defend our hives. But do not interfere with my decision. I will be vigilant for those animal ships responsible, lurking in the other system." Her queen daughters assented silently, their thoughts and names coming to her as they prepared to take on their new roles. In the midst of mourning, a plan began to take shape. A plan for vengeance, for rebuilding, and for ensuring the survival and prosperity of their hive in the face of a formidable enemy. The hive mother found herself deeply moved by these ancestral memories that transcended centuries of silence. As she sat alone in her brood chamber, surrounded by the echoes of past battles and the weight of her current losses, she began a profound journey through her hive's history. Gathering the thoughts and experiences of the drones she had inhabited during the recent battle, the hive mother meticulously replayed every moment. With her powerful intellect, she dissected the tactics and strategies employed by the unknown animal ships, seeking weaknesses and patterns amidst the chaos of combat. In the solitude of her chamber, the hive mother felt a stirring deep within her genetic memories. An ancient hive mother, long gone yet still present in the hive's collective consciousness, reached out to her. Memories flooded her mind, tales of survival during the Great Persecution, the arduous migration that brought them to this distant corner of space, and the sacrifices made to ensure the hive's continuation. Images of ancient battles unfolded before her, accompanied by the profound emotions of her ancestor. Pride in their resilience, sorrow for the losses endured, and a relentless determination to protect their genetic lineage coursed through her. The ancient hive mother's presence and guidance offered a perspective that transcended time, illuminating the path forward amidst the current crisis. As she absorbed these ancestral memories, the hive mother's own resolve strengthened. She understood the weight of her responsibility to lead her hive through adversity, drawing upon the wisdom and experiences of those who came before her. The lessons embedded in these ancient memories would shape her strategy, guiding her in defending their hive and ensuring the survival of their genetic legacy. With newfound clarity and purpose, the hive mother emerged from her contemplation. She would honor the memory of her fallen swarm daughter and all those who had perished in battle by forging ahead with determination and resilience. Armed with the insights gleaned from her ancestors, she prepared to face the challenges ahead and lead her hive towards a future shaped by their enduring strength and unity. As the hive mother resumed analyzing the battle with the unknown animal ships, a name for the emotion she felt suddenly surfaced, washing over her with an overwhelming sense of fear. In the Ilani home system, Earth year 2172 AD, we observed the insectoid ships accelerating towards the Republic fleet. Seafather expanded the holographic projection in their den, filling almost the entire wall. He used his retired government credentials to access the satellite and drone network, bringing up multiple projections that displayed various angles of the unfolding battle. I watched intently as the Republic fleet held its formation, battleships firing broadsides while frigates and destroyers maneuvered into defensive positions ahead of the fleet. The sensor network provided real-time data, listing and categorizing the classes and functions of each ship. Among them, the unknown ships that had just emerged were tagged as null space entities, adding to the tension and uncertainty of the situation. The scene was tense. with the fate of the Republic fleet hanging in the balance as they prepared to face this unexpected threat from the unknown insectoid vessels. I tapped the floating icon and began to read aloud the information provided by the Republic fleet as it scrolled by. These null ships have no crews and are controlled by battle AI. Their hulls are infused with null space particles, powered by antimatter reactors, and classified as stealth battlecruisers. Seafather grunted and glanced at me. I told you these humans are far more capable than the Commonwealth gave them credit for. I listened but held my tongue, still unsure if I fully believed that the humans could prevail. Closing the info screen, I focused on the unfolding scene as the insectoid ships accelerated towards the Republic fleet, closing the gap rapidly. Frigates began to fall back while destroyer squadrons utilized their thrust capabilities to maneuver both above and below the plane of the ecliptic. The center of the Republic's defensive line erupted in a starburst pattern as heavy cruisers anchoring that section unleashed their main guns on the approaching alien vessels. In response, the insectoid cruisers fired a devastating broadside of laser beams, railgun slugs, missiles, and plasma bolts. The clash resulted in a chaotic web of explosions and secondary blasts that engulfed the center of the Republic's formation, leaving smoke and debris swirling around the surviving destroyers as they strained to evade the devastation. The scene unfolded in chaos as I watched the humans abandon the center of their battle lines in a frantic retreat. In that moment, I felt a sinking realization that we were doomed. Birth Mother, overwhelmed, buried her face in her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. Meanwhile, Sarfa, ever optimistic or perhaps in denial, wore a foolish grin. The insectoid ships accelerated, seizing the opportunity presented by the open center of the Republic fleet. Their engines burned fiercely as they adjusted course, closing in on the vulnerable gap in our defenses. It seemed inevitable that they would overwhelm us. Amidst my confusion, I observed the fleeing Republic ships execute a surprising maneuver. With precise movements of their positional thrusters, they flipped around abruptly, now moving backwards at incredible speed, 30,000 kilometers per hour. Their bows were now aimed directly at the gap through which the insectoids were advancing. "What is happening?" I exclaimed, unable to comprehend the sudden reversal of tactics. Seafather silenced me with a sharp gesture, his attention fixed on the unfolding events. The fleeing Republic ships fired, and the hollow wave screen flared brightly before it. Compensating, I stood in shock as the Republic fleet unleashed a torrent of firepower into the gap, now filled with the insectoid fleet. Hundreds of cruisers protecting the front line vanished instantly under the onslaught. The Republic ships continued firing, and I watched in horror as 2 Hive ships exploded, while others sustained heavy damage. The Republic frigates, which had initially pulled back, surged forward. They intercepted the massive missile volley from the insectoid formation, using particle beams and plasma turrets that illuminated the battlefield with intense energy. Thousands of missiles were swatted down, but those that persisted found themselves hurtling towards a dense barrage of tungsten ball bearings as the frigates launched hundreds of canisters of grape shot per second. The grape shot tore through the remnants of the insectoid assault, creating chaos and devastation in its wake. Amidst the onslaught of insectoid missiles, the remaining ball bearings relentlessly accelerated, smashing into the formation and devastating numerous cruisers. Simultaneously, destroyer squadrons, strategically positioned both above and below the ecliptic, launched their assault on the approaching insectoid formation. With precision, they unleashed a barrage from their ventral and dorsal plasma railgun turrets, alongside hypervelocity 30 mm Gatling guns. The cruisers bore the brunt. Their upper and lower shells cleaved apart like a buzzsaw through timber. Scores of insectoid cruisers broke away, shredded by plasma bolts and hypersonic slugs, which also inflicted significant damage on the Hive ships nestled within the formation. Having completed their devastating strafing run, the destroyers swiftly withdrew into open space, leaving in their wake over 150 shattered and exploding Republic hulls. Yet, even as the insectoid formation began its retaliatory maneuvers, the chaos of battle persisted unabated. Thousands of particle beams extended from the null ships, slicing through the insectoid vessels with deadly precision. In response, the insectoids launched another massive volley of missiles aimed at the destroyer squadrons, which raced after them with relentless determination. The screening frigates surged ahead, activating their countermeasure suites and point defense systems, successfully neutralizing or jamming a substantial portion of the incoming missiles. Despite their efforts, dozens more destroyers succumbed to the unyielding onslaught. Amidst the chaos, Sci-Father bowed his head solemnly, silently invoking prayers for the souls of those lost in battle. Witnessing the devastating loss of thousands of human lives, I was overwhelmed with shame, seeking forgiveness for ever doubting their bravery. Their unwavering courage was on full display as they threw themselves into the fray without hesitation. Suddenly, hundreds of null space flashes erupted within the fist formation itself, heralding the arrival of the null ships. They unleashed rapid triple shots of plasma bolts and heavy particle beams, cutting through the thick hulls of the hive ships with devastating effect. The battlefield erupted into a tumultuous scene of destruction and defiance as both sides fought fiercely for their survival and their cause. The null ships continued their impossible acceleration, deftly evading any attempts by the insectoid beams to lock onto their particle hulls. Thousands of beams crisscrossed the battlefield, aimed with precision by groups of 4 null ships working in synchronized harmony. With exquisite fire control, they targeted specific hive ships, unleashing devastating barrages that blasted open gaping rents in the hulls. Bodies and frozen fluids were ejected into the void as the null ships moved swiftly through the formation, leaving behind scenes of apocalyptic destruction. As they flashed out of the battle, a few of the null ships failed to enter null space in time and were destroyed. Immediately following their departure, thousands of starfighters surged into the chaotic fray. They descended upon the reeling insectoid formation, launching relentless attacks and adding another layer of havoc to the already tumultuous battle. The battlefield now bore witness to a relentless cycle of destruction and retaliation, where each side fought fiercely for supremacy amidst the vast expanse of space. With furious determination, the starfighters unleashed penetrator missiles that struck deep into their targets, causing massive sections of hulls to erupt in antimatter explosions. Sci-Father, moved by the courage of the starfighter pilots, pumped his fists in solidarity, reflecting on his own past as a planetary defense pilot before entering government service. As we observed from afar, the hive ships were overwhelmed by the swarming starfighters, blinking out of existence at an alarming rate as they fell prey to relentless point defenses. Despite the carnage, the starfighters pressed on, wreaking havoc upon the formation. Hive ships began to list and rupture with massive internal explosions, while cruisers were obliterated by precise turret fire aimed at their vulnerable breaches. Having delivered their devastating assault, the starfighters swiftly retreated towards open space, having sacrificed over 1,000 fighters in their ferocious attack. Meanwhile, the null ships returned in a flash, re-entering the fray at a critical moment. Emerging from null space at full acceleration, the null ships tore through the wounded insectoid formation. However, a shift in tactics by the insectoids had made their weapons fire markedly more effective. Individual null ships began to explode under the onslaught of hundreds of beams that they couldn't evade. Despite weaving through the formation, wreaking havoc and targeting wounded hive ships, dozens more null ships met their end before flashing back into null space. In response, the insectoid formation began to contract in size as it pressed onward, leaving behind a trail of burning wreckage and exploding ships resembling a bleeding comet across the cosmos. Taking advantage of this momentary repositioning, entire wings of Republic heavy cruisers maneuvered to strafe the formation's sides. They unleashed devastating broadsides from their 16-inch railguns and secondary plasma cannons, pounding the insectoid hulls with relentless firepower. The battle raged on, with each side grappling for dominance amidst the chaos and destruction of the galactic battlefield. The heavy cruisers continued their relentless assault, their massive railguns and plasma cannons tearing through the weakened insectoid screening force. Insectoid cruisers, damaged and disrupted, fell out of formation, creating vulnerable gaps that the Republic ships exploited with precise plasma bolts and missiles, further damaging and destroying hive ships. In response to the devastating counterattack, the insectoid formation unleashed a torrent of thousands of missiles and particle beams. Despite the Republic ships' efforts to evade and defend, 112 IEV cruisers were destroyed, and many more were left severely damaged before the Republic forces managed to retreat safely out of weapons range. As the hollow wave screen displayed the unfolding tragedy, an infographic updated in real time, revealing the grim toll on both sides. The number of Republic ships destroyed and damaged climbed rapidly, accompanied by a sobering count of over 200,000 casualties, killed and wounded, continuing to rise. Birthmother turned away, unable to bear the sight of the escalating numbers, while Sci-Father held her close, offering solace amidst the relentless chaos of war. The hulls of the cruiser and the hive ship were torn open, spewing debris and flames into the vacuum of space. It was a desperate act of defiance, a stark reminder of the sacrifices made in the relentless battle. Sitting beside Sci-Father, I could sense the weight of exhaustion and sorrow in his posture. The toll of war had etched lines of weariness on his face, his eyes reflecting the anguish of witnessing so much death and destruction. The air in the room was heavy with the lingering scent of fear and adrenaline. As the battle continued to unfold outside, I remained in somber silence, contemplating the futility and brutality of it all. The stars outside seemed distant and indifferent, untouched by the violence that engulfed us. Inside, Sci-Father's words hung in the air, a plea for respite amidst the relentless storm of war. In a haunting moment, the two ships silently intertwined in a macabre dance before the cruiser's core overloaded, plunging them into oblivion. The hollow wave screen adjusted to the sudden burnout, leaving nothing behind but echoes of their demise. Nearby, a hive ship and numerous cruisers met a similar fate from the cascading destruction. Amidst the chaos, the battleship wings thundered through the formation with astonishing force, their smaller size compared to the towering hive ships belying the sheer violence of their assault. Despite heavy losses, the decimated battleship wings executed their attack runs before retreating towards the safety of open space. Returning from null space, the N ships swiftly eliminated any remaining functional hive ships, disappearing once more without casualties. Now, the insectoid formation began to contract and reorganize in response to the relentless assault, signaling a shift in strategy amidst the ongoing carnage of the galactic battlefield. As the insectoid formation contracted into a perfect sphere and accelerated towards the inner system, fear gripped me knowing they were headed directly towards our planet, Alania, the second from our sun. A new countdown ominously displayed on the screen, ticking down the moments until their arrival. The Republic fleet, struggling to reorganize after flashing in and out of null space, raced to pursue the advancing formation. However, it became painfully clear from the diagram that they were too far and couldn't intercept the insectoids in time. To bolster our defenses, the Republic fleet had left behind a carrier task force, 2 battleship wings, and several hundred frigates and destroyers. These were to reinforce the scant 24 Alani warships remaining in our system, a desperate last line of defense against the impending threat. As tensions mounted and the countdown continued, the fate of Alania hung in the balance, with our meager defenses facing the daunting prospect of confronting the relentless advance of the insectoid horde. ChatGPT, since their null space capacitors were insufficiently charged and their relative velocity couldn't close the gap in time, I cried out in panic. Sci-Father calmly raised his hand to silence me, his gaze fixed intently on the hollow wave screen. With a fierce expression, he uttered a simple command. "Wait!" As the tense seconds passed, the insectoid formation passed the 4th planet, drawing nearer to Alania. Suddenly, thousands of pinpoint explosions erupted across the formation. Insectoid cruisers and hive ships were torn apart, careening uncontrollably and suffering catastrophic decompressions. Sensor drones zoomed in, revealing tiny shimmering objects materializing and swiftly accelerating towards the remaining ships. They latched on and detonated with devastating effect. The once formidable formation now lay in disarray, its cohesion shattered as surviving ships drifted aimlessly in space. The sudden and coordinated assault had crippled the insectoid fleet, leaving them vulnerable and fragmented. Sci-Father's strategy of patience and observation had paid off, delivering a decisive blow that altered the course of the battle for Alania's fate. The tension finally released. The insectoid ships lost control and drifted aimlessly, colliding with each other as they lumbered deeper into the minefield. With no attempt to change course or save themselves, their cohesion shattered, marking the beginning of their end. Suddenly, the last two hive ships and 30-odd cruisers vanished in a flash of null space, signaling the end of the battle. Sci-Father and I sat in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. Then, breaking the silence, Sci-Father leapt up with a shout of victory, exclaiming defiantly towards our defeated foes. Birthmother, hearing the commotion, rushed into the room, gasping and scolding Sci-Father in our native language. I blushed in embarrassment, but Sci-Father laughed at the playful scolding. Birthmother joined us, wrapping her arms around us both, and we shared a moment of quiet relief, shaking with exhaustion and emotion. As we sat together, waiting for official confirmation that Alania was safe from the insectoid menace, I struggled to keep my eyes open, feeling the weight of the intense day beginning to settle. The distant echoes of battle faded, replaced by a hopeful anticipation for the future. Finally, a "Please stand by" message appeared on the hollow wave screen, followed by an image of a menacing bird of prey with its wings spread wide. One foot gripped a branch, while the other clutched pointed sticks or spears, giving the impression that it could leap out of the screen at any moment. Below the bird, a stylized banner bore human words: "Libertas oppresses mors oppressor reus," translated into galactic standard as "Freedom to the oppressed, death to the oppressors." Moments later, Admiral Thompson appeared on the screen, looking worn and aged beyond his years since we last saw him just 8 hours ago. The bridge behind him showed signs of battle damage, with damaged consoles and ruptured conduits, and noticeably fewer crew members at their stations. He peered into the holocamera with a mix of exhaustion and determination as he prepared to address us. Admiral Thompson's voice filled the room through the hollow wave screen, solemn and weary, yet resolute. "The insectoid fleet has been eliminated. Our long-range scouts confirm no signs of insectoid ships within 100 light-years. I hereby declare the Alani system secure. We have achieved a great victory, but it has come at a great cost." He paused, his next words carrying the weight of loss. "We will remain here temporarily to repair our battle damage and launch search and rescue missions to recover survivors and our honored dead from the void." Addressing potential civilian assistance, Admiral Thompson's voice held a note of urgency. "Any civilian ships willing to aid in rescue efforts are urged to do so. Your assistance is crucial as we race against time to reach survivors before air runs out. Medical personnel are especially needed. We have more wounded than we can currently care for." He concluded with a call for coordination. "Please coordinate all rescue efforts through your respective governments. A link system portal is being established to facilitate efficient deployment to where assistance is most needed. Thank you all for your courage and perseverance in this trying time." As the hollow wave screen dimmed, a solemn silence settled over us. Sci-Father, tears in his eyes, turned to me and spoke with a mix of relief and sorrow. "They're gone, son. They can't hurt us anymore." Birthmother joined us, and together we embraced, finding solace in each other's presence as we prepared to face the daunting tasks ahead of rebuilding and healing. He took a deep breath and retrieved a folded square from his chest pocket. Unfolding it, he announced solemnly, "This message is from President Lopez. It was meant to be read if we emerged victorious and saved your world." With a pause to gather himself, he began reading. "If Admiral Thompson is reading this letter, then we have achieved victory and spared you from extinction. I want you to know that no matter the cost in lives, ships, and treasure, the Republic will stand by your side until the bitter end." His voice softened with gratitude. "You extended your hands to us in friendship and goodwill when we were a young species venturing into the unknown. You helped us grow, learn, and most importantly, accepted us for who we are." He continued with sincerity. "You have demonstrated that you are a noble and decent people, earning our trust, loyalty, and love. Any hand, we stand united with you. Any threat against you is a threat against us. Your friendship and kindness will never be forgotten, and now our fates are forever intertwined. You will never face adversity alone again." With tears in his eyes, Admiral Thompson paused, folding the paper with care and placing it back into his chest pocket. He looked back at the hollow camera and quietly concluded, "That's all for now. Let's get to work, people." The transmission ended, leaving all three of us openly weeping. The weight of the moment lingered long afterward. In the insectoid empire of 2173 AD, the hive mother focused intently. Glands on her thorax excreted silk as she skillfully wove it into a complex construct, marveling at its evolving shape. With precision, she activated an organ within her, emitting a specific harmonic frequency that interacted with the construct, causing the silk to respond in intricate patterns. Mother watched with satisfaction as the construct responded to the frequency and began to crystallize. She focused her gaze, visualizing its structure down to the smallest atoms, imprinting her essence upon it. A surge of pleasure rippled through her as she received a thought echo, affirming the connection. Commanding an attending worker drone, she instructed it to transport the construct to a waiting relay ship. Imprinting the spatial coordinates for the focuser's deployment into the drone's mind, she observed it depart. Across the insectoid empire, numerous relay ships were deployed to extend her thought range, a strategic move in preparation for the impending swarming. Reflecting on recent battles with unknown adversaries, she adjusted tactics. No longer would fertilized L be placed on hive ships for rapid colonization. Instead, queen daughters were instructed in the construction of new ship designs tailored to confront these new threats. The hive mother's determination and strategic acumen ensured her empire would adapt and prevail against any challenges ahead. The hive mother extended her consciousness, merging with a worker drone on one of the builder worlds. She surveyed the vast expanse before her, where millions of worker drones busily transported materials and fabricated components. Across the landscape lay thousands of half-finished cruisers, each a testament to the industriousness of her empire. Leaving that world, she entered another drone on a different builder world. Here, amidst hundreds of colossal shells destined to become hive ships, tens of millions of drones worked tirelessly. Moving to the other side of the planet, she beheld new ship designs taking shape, including a hybrid cruiser hive that bridged two distinct classes. The ancient hive mother, with whom she communed, had imparted the design for this hybrid class, a relic from the ancient wars that once shaped the hive fleet's backbone. The hive mother returned to her chamber and connected with the ancient one through her thoughts. She felt a stirring in response. "Honored mother, I need to understand more about the persecution," she conveyed silently. In that moment, a wave of fear and sadness emanated from the ancient one, followed by memories flooding into her mind, memories that were not her own. These memories spanned centuries, revealing a once great hive empire spanning many worlds, abundant in resources. The empire housed vast hive and builder worlds bustling with hundreds of trillions of workers and thousands of queens, living in a peace known only to sapient species isolated in their region of space. These memories recounted their initial contact with an expanding animal species that had encountered the hive empire. Initially, the hive mothers attempted communication with these animals, but received no response. Unaware that animals do not share thoughts, they misunderstood the noises emanating from the animal ships as attempts at communication. Suddenly, the memories turned darker as the hive mother witnessed thousands of animal ships invading the hive empire, destroying any ships they encountered in space and devastating entire worlds with antimatter bombs. She shared in the anguish as the Ancient One felt trillions of her daughters perish and hundreds of her queen daughters die as bombs rained down on hive cities. The Hive Empire, unaccustomed to conflict and having never needed weapons or warships due to their peaceful isolation, now found themselves under attack. They fought back by ramming into the animal ships, either destroying or disabling them, and began learning how to manufacture weapons and null space engines by salvaging one of the disabled ships. As more of their worlds were destroyed, they hastily assembled a fleet of their first warships and hive ships, preparing to defend their birth world. The animal ships entered the system but advanced no further than the asteroid belt, lingering there for almost a solar month. The hive mothers and daughter queens, inexperienced in warfare, were uncertain how to proceed and could only wait, growing increasingly confused by the animals' actions. Suddenly, they witnessed thousands of asteroids streaming towards their fleet at incredible speeds, far faster than should have been possible. Firing their weapons for the first time, they struggled to track targets and many shots missed while other weapons malfunctioned. Horror gripped them as the asteroids smashed into their fleet, obliterating hundreds of their ships. Thousands more asteroids breached their defenses. Massive fires spread and gigatons of soil were ejected into the atmosphere. In the aftermath, the few surviving hive mothers and daughter queens, amidst the tattered remains of their fleet, were all that remained of their once thriving civilization. They fled, leaving behind their birth world consumed by global fires and engulfed in darkness. For cycles on end, they wandered into the unknown, relentlessly pursued by the animal ships that harried them, attacking whenever they attempted to establish a new hive. Across thousands of light years they fled, the chase only ceasing after 100 cycles of migration. Finally, finding respite in a region of space devoid of signs of spacefaring animals, they dared to begin anew. The hive mother recoiled in anguish as she grappled with in the wake of her people's near destruction and the encounter with unfamiliar creatures. The hive mother silently thanked her predecessor for sharing such wisdom. Sensing the Ancient One's presence fading from her mind, she refocused on the memories of battling those unknown animals, grappling with the brutality of their actions, and grieving deeply for her lost daughter, the Queen. Recollections of the Empire's numerous triumphs over the past half-century, expanding across new worlds to establish hives, filled her thoughts. The former hive mother, hesitant to provoke conflict yet perceiving these creatures as perpetual foes, had reluctantly overseen expansion to sustain their populace amid scarce resources. Expansion was inevitable. Our worlds are few, and our needs endless, she ruminated, fixated once more on the initial defeat that had sparked her resolve. These enigmatic creatures pose a constant threat, and I must usher in a new era, she concluded with steely determination. The hive mother contemplated the necessity of seizing the animals' worlds for their hives if her race were to endure. Recalling the countless battle simulations she had run, she envisioned scenarios for their next encounter with these new adversaries. Suddenly, a surge of inspiration struck her as she absorbed memories of past persecutions. In a decisive moment, she reached out to her remaining 11 daughter queens, inviting them into her mind. They awaited her instructions as she conveyed her urgent directive. I need you to devise a method to manipulate asteroids into weapons. Our fleet is insufficient to assault the animal core worlds and breach their defenses. Instead, we will harness asteroids to bombard their ships and planets, she declared, concluding with a sense of urgency. The Queen daughters grappled with confusion, striving to grasp her intent. Nonetheless, they accepted the challenge, determined to decipher and execute her command before the animals could fortify themselves further. The Queen daughters departed from her consciousness, and sensing the night cycle, the hive mother entered her dormant state, drifting into a dreamscape where asteroids collided with animal worlds in the Helani home system of 2173 AD. 8 solar months had passed since the Battle of Alania, leaving the once familiar Helani system drastically altered. The aftermath of the conflict saw tens of thousands of our civilian vessels emerging from their hiding places deep within the system. They joined forces with the Republic fleet, tirelessly scouring the wreckage for survivors and ferrying the wounded to medical facilities. Meanwhile, our contingent, previously detached from the Commonwealth fleet and battered from prior engagements with insectoids in Commonwealth space, arrived a day later. Their ships were in dire need of repair and their crew exhausted, yet they were welcomed as heroes by the Republic fleet. Recognizing their valor and resolve in confronting the insectoids, the Republic fleet offered them sanctuary to recuperate, rebuild, and train alongside their comrades awaiting them in Commonwealth space. The insectoid fleet alone paid them honors, with the Republic fleet lining both sides of the designated course for thousands of kilometers. They displayed their battle colors and fired training rounds in salute as the remnants of our defense forces, humbled yet resolute, passed through their ranks and returned home. Many Republic ships also projected holograms depicting a broom sweeping from side to side, a human symbol later explained as a clean sweep. A week after the battle, a vast convoy of hundreds of freighters arrived from Republic space, laden with essential supplies to restock and refit their ships. Alongside them came a smaller convoy of massive fabricator ships. Within a solar month, these fabricators had constructed 3 Republic shipyards in orbit around our planet. Fueled by a steady flow of ore extracted from our twin asteroid, the automated mining drone ships diligently harvested ore from our twin asteroid belts, refining it to fabricate components essential for constructing the shipyards and subsequent defense systems the Republic swiftly deployed to fortify our system. Damaged ships capable of traversing null space departed for Republic territory, seeking repairs and refits, while those too heavily damaged remained in our system, making do with limited repairs until the new shipyards were operational. When I expressed astonishment at the Republic's ability to erect 3 military shipyards so quickly, my father nonchalantly dismissed my awe. He informed me that the Republic boasted over 200 such shipyards throughout their domain, leaving me momentarily speechless. Curious, I asked why they maintained such a formidable military infrastructure, despite having been free of conflict for over 100 cycles. His response resonated with me. The humans have a saying, "If you want peace, prepare for war." I struggled to comprehend the magnitude of their vast war machine and the strategic foresight embedded within their peaceful facade, especially compared to the Commonwealth, which, at its peak, was nearly 4 times larger than the Republic, but only possessed 20 shipyards dedicated to warship construction. This revelation was eye-opening, revealing how little I truly understood about our benefactors. Once the Republic completed their shipyards, they proceeded to construct 2 additional military facilities tailored to Alani specifications. This move aimed to ensure our ability to independently manufacture warships, given our uncertainty about continuing to rely on Commonwealth shipyards. This decision sparked significant unrest among our government and people, as we had been loyal members of the Commonwealth for almost 200 cycles. The final blow to our ties with the Commonwealth came 3 solar months after the battle. An official envoy from the Commonwealth government arrived at the Alani system with the audacious goal of reminding us about overdue taxes and threatening sanctions. The controversy over allowing a foreign military presence in our system paralyzed our government, which hesitated to sever ties with the Commonwealth despite their perceived betrayal, leaving us vulnerable against the insectoid threat. However, Admiral Thompson's decisive action resolved the dilemma. Upon learning of the situation, he swiftly dispatched a message to the Commonwealth envoy. "Get bent." This blunt message was backed by Republic task forces, which surrounded the Commonwealth ships, weapons primed and targeting locked. Despite protests, the task forces escorted the Commonwealth vessels to the outer reaches of our system, warning any further incursion into Alani space would be considered an act of war. The envoy issued dire threats to both the Republic and Alania before their ships vanished into null space. In the ensuing 2 solar months, our world became a hive of activity as hundreds of thousands of humans descended upon Alania. Their mission, to aid in fortifying our defenses and integrating our system into the Republic's expansive strategic network. To enhance our cooperative efforts, our scientists and engineers from both Republic systems and tech are collaborating closely. Together, they're meticulously studying the remnants of the insectoid ships, aiming to decipher their advanced technology and weaponry. This effort is crucial as we prepare for upcoming conflicts and seek to enhance our own armor and weapon systems. Meanwhile, California has been reassigned to his former role as ambassador to the Republic. This move comes as our government initiates negotiations to define our future relationship with them. While a significant portion of our executive council and populace advocates for formal integration into the Republic, surprisingly, the humans among us have quietly opposed this idea. They argue that we must first experience true freedom and self-reliance before committing to such a profound decision. During these deliberations, President Lopez undertook her inaugural visit to the memorial, symbolizing a pivotal moment in our collective journey. On the 6th solar month anniversary of the battle, a solemn service was held. I always admired the diverse array of sizes, shapes, and colors displayed by the humans, but what struck me most was her appearance as she descended the ramp to greet our premier. She was smaller and slighter in build than many humans I had seen, yet her presence and determination made her seem larger than life among the crowd. I later discovered she had served as a pathfinder for 20 years, renowned as one of the Republic's most formidable operatives. As we gathered for the ceremony, it was decided that the scale of Republic losses precluded a traditional reading of names. Instead, our government requested to honor them in the Alani tradition, a request that was graciously accepted by the humans. In the heart of our capital's central square, 500,000 Ilani and hundreds of thousands of humans stood together. Beyond, in the surrounding districts, millions more joined in solemn remembrance. The ceremony began with a profound silence that enveloped me like never before. Gradually, thousands of small holographic orbs of light ascended from the crowd, each transforming into the likeness of the heads and upper torsos of the humans they represented. These ethereal figures displayed their names, ages, and the ships they had served on. After a brief moment, the orbs reverted to globes of light and began their ascent towards the sky. With increasing speed, they burst into spears of light, seemingly merging with the heavens above. Wave after wave, thousands more globes arose, each representing another fallen individual. This poignant ritual continued until all 167, 5,038 deceased, including Mia, had completed their journey into the sky. The emotional intensity was palpable, a collective grief that hung thick in the air as millions of attendees mourned together. Amidst this solemnity, both the Republic and Elani delegations openly wept, their sorrow a testament to the profound loss felt by all. The following day, President Lopez emphasized the need for a military exchange program aimed at integrating our forces with those of the Republic. This initiative would involve posting Elani ship crews on human vessels and establishing a dedicated class of Elani cadets who would undergo training in Republic space, following what she termed the Republic Way. President Lopez urged the Council to adopt a wartime posture, underscoring that the Battle of Alania was merely the first in a series of anticipated conflicts. To support her case, she presented intelligence gathered by Republic spy drones. This data revealed extensive construction of thousands of insectoid ships across multiple worlds. Furthermore, it highlighted ongoing patrols by insectoid vessels, some of which were twice the size of the fleet that had originally invaded the Commonwealth. She paused momentarily, allowing the weight of the intelligence and her proposals to sink in among the council members. President Lopez allowed the council a moment to absorb the gravity of the situation before commencing her address. We have suffered significant losses, over 1,000 ships and 1,500 fighters, but we cannot afford to hesitate. The Republic does not initiate wars, but we are resolute in finishing them, she declared, her words resonating with conviction. Pausing to fix her gaze on each member of the council, she emphasized, "We do not subscribe to the notion of defensive wars. Once engaged, we believe in striking decisively and relentlessly moving forward. Victory lies in penetrating the heart of the enemy and dismantling their capacity to wage war." With her statement delivered, she neatly arranged her papers and invited the council to voice any questions or concerns. However, none were raised. Then, President Lopez dropped a bombshell on the assembly. "Before you deliberate further, I have one piece of positive news. A Zainin delegation is en route to Alania and will arrive in 2 days. They bring crucial information regarding the insectoid threat." The revelation hung in the air, marking a pivotal moment as the council contemplated the path forward in light of these developments. He nodded thoughtfully, his gaze fixed on the horizon beyond the council chambers. "You will soon have to choose your path," he continued, his voice soft but firm, "just as the Zenin have chosen theirs by breaking away from the Commonwealth and seeking alliance with the Republic and Alani sovereignty." I listened intently, absorbing his words as he imparted his wisdom. "Your decision will shape not only your future, but also the future of our people," he added, his eyes meeting mine with a mixture of pride and expectation. As we stood there in silence, the breeze carrying the faint echoes of the council's deliberations, I felt the weight of responsibility settling upon my shoulders. The impending age of decision loomed before me, and I knew that my choice would define the path I would take as I transitioned from a youngling to a manling. As a member of the cadet class preparing to embark on a Republic cruiser, I knew I was about to embark on a journey that would redefine my life. The decision to join the cadet class had not been made lightly. I had felt the weight of responsibility and the gravity of the path I had chosen. Standing there on the cruiser, surrounded by fellow cadets, I reflected on the pride in my father's eyes and his words of encouragement. They bolstered my resolve, reminding me of the significance of my decision. The holographic display flickered, showing familiar planets and orbital paths that I had known since childhood. Now they seemed distant and unfamiliar, a stark reminder of the adventure and challenges awaiting me beyond the borders of my home system. As I waited for the journey to begin, I felt a surge of determination. I was ready to learn the Republic way, to train alongside humans and integrate our efforts against the looming threat of the insectoids. My heart beat with anticipation as I contemplated the unknown future ahead, filled with both excitement and a sense of duty to defend our world. With a deep breath, I turned my gaze back to the holographic overlay, committing the image of my home system to memory. It was time to embark on this new chapter, to honor my father's pride and embrace the responsibilities of adulthood and service to our people. As I gazed upon my home system, my initial fear of imminent doom had transformed into a sobering pity for any insectoids who dared to return. The vast expanse was now bristling with defensive might. Hundreds of warships patrolled the system, their presence mirrored by hundreds more in interstellar space within a 200-light-year radius. Massive forts dotted strategic points while thousands of defense satellites orbited vigilantly. The humans had aptly named their lurking defenses mosquito mines, striking without warning like their terrestrial namesakes. As the countdown to flash out approached 0, my thoughts drifted back to that morning. I remembered the worry etched on my birth mother's face, her concern palpable as she bid farewell to her youngling about to embark on a perilous journey. Yet, amidst the trepidation, I also saw CA's proud gaze as he bestowed upon me his pilot wings, a gesture of trust and honor that bolstered my resolve. Surrounded by fellow Elani cadets, I sensed their shared apprehension. Each of us pondered the uncertainties ahead, grappling with our duty to defend our world and uphold our alliance with the Republic. Suddenly, a human in uniform sprinted towards us, urgency etched on their face, bearing crucial news from the bridge. His veins bulged on his forehead, eyes seemingly ready to burst from their sockets. He screamed at us, his spittle spraying across our faces as we flinched, bewildered by the sudden outburst. His hand slammed against his forehead as if trying to remember something, and then he activated the translator device dangling from his harness. Suddenly, his words thundered through the air like a hammer. "I am your drill instructor. You have 5 damn seconds to get to your bunks before I tear your heads off and use your esophagus as a urinal. Move! Move! Move!" We scattered, running for our lives, unsure where to go in this uninhabited system 3.5 paracs from Earth in the year 2173. Meanwhile, on a distant asteroid, the Queen observed as it began to accelerate, driven by the activated thrusters of dozens of small harvesters continuing their relentless search for fuel. Harvesters continued to extract the necessary elements as their feeder arms added more ore for processing, fueled by a constant source of energy. The thrusters maintained their propulsion, pushing the large mass of rock and metal toward its target, a lifeless planet. A few hours later, the Queen experienced conflicting emotions and thoughts, a war raging inside her as the asteroid faded into the distance, hurtling through space at over 150,000 kilometers per hour. "I have always been different from the others," she thought to herself, replaying her entire existence from her emergence from the cocoon to where she stood now. She knew she didn't share the same thoughts as her sister queens and the Hive Mother. She had always been ashamed of her perceived weakness, hiding it from them, perpetually afraid of being exposed. She had compartmentalized that part of her strangeness, burying it deep inside. Her attempts to suppress these thoughts only made them stronger as she carried out her duties as queen. She withdrew further into herself, recalling the revulsion and shame she felt when she involuntarily shared her sister queen's thoughts during their swarms across animal worlds, where billions of innocent creatures perished. Visions haunted her. Entire worlds turned to glass under nuclear bombardments, bodies of water boiled by relentless particle beams stabbing from orbit. She imagined the terror and agony those animals endured in their final moments, and her essence recoiled at the wanton death and destruction she witnessed. "You are just as guilty," she accused herself bitterly. Among her sisters, she alone developed the Harvesters, following the Hive Mother's directive to find ways to manipulate asteroids. The internal conflict threatened to overwhelm her, and she abruptly left her command. However, the visions of death and agony intensified into a tidal wave that swept her away. Eventually, she ceased resisting and allowed herself to drown in it. Time seemed to lose meaning as the queen drifted alone in a terrifying darkness, devoid of purpose and life. Dread mounted within her until suddenly she saw herself reflected through billions of fractals floating on the surface of a black ocean. In that moment, she realized she was not alone. Others were watching her. She perceived a long line of her genetic ancestors stretching back to the origins of their race. The black ocean transformed into an endless plain of obsidian glass, and she began to walk down the line of her ancestors. As she walked, she felt their thoughts awakening inside her. She braced herself for accusations of betrayal, curling into a protective ball and waiting for what would come next. No judgment came. Tentatively, she uncurled, suspicion lingering, but nothing accosted her. With growing certainty, she straightened and addressed her ancestors with her thoughts, demanding, "What are you waiting for? I am prepared for your judgment." Their gaze met hers with sadness, and she felt their thoughts enter her mind, not condemnation, but pity and understanding. Overwhelmed, she wept as they comforted her, reminding her that she was never truly alone, for their essence lived within her. As their presence faded from her mind, one of her ancestors separated from the collective and approached her. An ancient hive mother, majestic and reminiscent of a time when their kind were larger and dwelled solely on their birth world. "Daughter of ours," she addressed gently, "your essence has stirred us from our slumber. The pain you bear has awakened us without you enduring the transformative change reserved only for a hive." The queen watched in silence as the asteroid collided with the lifeless planet, sending shock waves rippling through space. Emerging from her introspective journey, the queen felt the lingering presence of her genetic ancestors within her, imbuing her with newfound feelings of support and love. As their presence gradually receded, she became aware of her commander drone outside her chambers, releasing pheromones indicating her immediate presence was required. Following the drone's guidance, the queen left her chambers and returned to the command center of the hive ship. There, she resumed her position at the command disk, overseeing the operations. The hive ship had transitioned to a stationary position 800,000 kilometers from the lifeless planet. On the projector screen, the queen observed the incoming asteroid hurtling toward its target. Seconds later, it collided with the planet, unleashing a powerful explosion of debris and energy. The queen recoiled from the thought, feeling the weight of the hive mother's plea and the gravity of her responsibility. The devastation on the planet continued to unfold before her eyes. Gigatons of soil and debris were ejected into space, the crust fractured for thousands of miles around the impact zone, and the methane atmosphere ignited into a fiery inferno. The queen couldn't help but imagine the terror and suffering of any life forms that might have been present. In her mind, the presence of the hive mother grew stronger, sharing her horror at the destruction and urging the queen to prevent such tragedies. "You must find a way," the hive mother implored. "Protect life, uphold our purpose." The queen felt torn between her duty to obey the hive mother and the overwhelming empathy she now held for the potential victims of such cataclysmic events. She struggled with the conflicting emotions, grappling with the weight of her role as queen. As she wrestled with these thoughts, the image of the hive mother committing queen death loomed large in her mind, a stark reminder of the ultimate consequence of failure within the hive. The hive mother's urgent plea reverberated within her mind. If you do not stop the hive mother from taking this path, the hives will die, and all our memories with them. You must assume control of the hives and save our race before we are exterminated by the animals." The queen was left reeling from shock as the hive mother withdrew from her consciousness. She turned her gaze back to the wounded planet, contemplating the weight of the hive mother's words. A new concept began to emerge in her mind, challenging her instinctual obedience. As she battled these conflicting thoughts, she envisioned herself entering the brood chamber and assuming control of the hives. If she became hive mother, she could attempt to prevent the relentless swarming and senseless deaths. But to do so, she would have to commit the most forbidden act known to their species: matricide. Deep in thought, she considered the implications and consequences of such a drastic decision. The fate of her species hung in the balance, and she knew she had to choose carefully. Emily and Owen stared at the large holographic screen in awe as intricate details of the neural tissue unfolded before them. "This is incredible," Owen murmured, his voice filled with wonder. He scrutinized the scan results, confirming the unprecedented findings. "Emily, do you realize what this means?" Emily nodded, her excitement palpable. "It's unlike anything we've seen before. Look at the neural pathways and the synaptic connections. It's as if it's from a completely different evolutionary path." Owen finished her sentence, his mind racing with possibilities. He adjusted the controls, zooming in on specific regions of the neural tissue. "We need to analyze this further," Emily said, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. "This could revolutionize our understanding of neural networks and consciousness." Owen nodded vigorously, already planning their next steps. "We should run more tests, compare it with existing data sets. This discovery could redefine our entire approach to neurobiology." As they delved deeper into the data, their lab filled with an electric anticipation. The neural tissue on the holographic screen held the promise of unlocking secrets that had eluded scientists for generations. The scanner continued its deep scan of the insectoid head, emitting low, thrumming noises as it meticulously mapped the brain's intricate structures. On the screens around them, 3D representations of the folded brain with 6 lobes rotated, while nanoscale slices revealed detailed views from different angles. "This must be the queen," Emily stated with certainty, her fingers deftly adjusting the perspectives on the screens to analyze various brain structures. Owen nodded enthusiastically in agreement. He tapped an icon on a screen labeled as Uncategorized IED, remarking, "I bet this is the command control organ that allows them to coordinate the drones." He turned to Emily with a smile. "We're going to get a Nobel Prize for this." The next day, Owen and Emily stood nervously in front of a conference table, awaiting the arrival of attendees who were filtering into their seats. The room buzzed with anticipation as word of their groundbreaking discovery spread through the scientific community. Emily glanced at Owen, a mix of excitement and apprehension in her eyes. "Do you think they'll believe us?" "They have to," Owen replied confidently. "The evidence is right there." As the last attendees settled in, Owen and Emily prepared to present their findings, knowing that today could mark a pivotal moment in their careers and in the field of neurobiology. They meticulously detailed the neural structures, highlighting the density of the cortex and the size of the mushroom bodies unique to the insectoid species. The holographic screen displayed nanoscale slices and 3D models that rotated to reveal the complexity of the specimen's brain. Admiral Thompson and the assembled delegates watched with growing interest as Emily and Owen presented their findings. The Ellen delegation murmured amongst themselves, exchanging surprised glances at the unprecedented discovery. Meanwhile, the human attendees remained composed, absorbing the groundbreaking implications of the presentation. As entomologists, we are accustomed to studying insects, but this discovery challenges everything we thought we knew about their hierarchical structure and cognitive capabilities, Emily explained, her voice steady despite the weight of their revelation. Owen nodded in agreement, adding, "The command control organ we've identified suggests a sophisticated level of coordination among the species, potentially indicating strategic decision-making capabilities akin to higher vertebrates." Throughout the presentation, questions and discussions arose, probing the implications of this discovery for both entomology and broader fields of science. Emily and Owen fielded inquiries with clarity and conviction, supported by the undeniable evidence displayed before them. By the end of the session, Admiral Thompson stood once more, addressing the room with a solemn gravity. Dr. Ariti, Dr. Masiello, your findings have profound implications not just for our understanding of insect behavior, but for our approach to interspecies relations and evolutionary biology. As the delegates dispersed, conversations buzzed with excitement and contemplation. Emily and Owen exchanged a glance, knowing they had opened a new chapter in scientific exploration, one that promised both acclaim and further profound discoveries. The neural scans reveal a cortex that is not only highly complex, but also densely structured, suggesting advanced capabilities in information processing and decision-making. Owen nodded in agreement, adding, "The folds and neural pathways we've observed indicate a level of organization and control that surpasses anything we've encountered in insectoid species before. It implies a hierarchical command structure where the queen exerts intricate control over the drones." The Alani neuroscientist nodded thoughtfully, processing their explanations. "And what about consciousness? Do you believe this queen possesses a form of self-awareness?" Emily considered the question carefully before responding. "While consciousness is a complex phenomenon that's challenging to define definitively, the organization and activity within the queen's brain suggest a high degree of awareness of its environment and its role within the hive. Whether this constitutes self-awareness akin to human consciousness is a topic for further study." The room buzzed with discussion as scientists and delegates debated the implications of Emily and Owen's findings. The possibility of an insectoid species exhibiting such advanced cognitive abilities sparked both fascination and apprehension among the audience. Admiral Thompson interjected, signaling the end of the Q&A session. "Dr. Ariti, Dr. Masiello, your research opens new frontiers in our understanding of insect intelligence and behavior. We will convene further discussions to explore the next steps in studying and interacting with these creatures." As the conference concluded, Emily and Owen exchanged relieved smiles, knowing they had made a significant contribution to science. They gathered their data and prepared for the next phase of their research, eager to delve deeper into the mysteries of the insectoid queen's mind. "This organ," Owen continued, his voice rising with enthusiasm, "appears to function as a secondary brain structure in drones. Its dense network of neurons suggests it plays a crucial role beyond mere reception of commands. We now hypothesize that it serves as a decentralized processing unit, enabling drones to carry out complex tasks autonomously while still remaining connected to the hive mind." Emily picked up seamlessly, her eyes shining with excitement. This discovery challenges our previous assumptions about insectoid hive behavior. It suggests that while the queen provides overarching guidance, drones possess a degree of independent decision-making and problem-solving capabilities. The room filled with murmurs of astonishment and intrigue as scientists and delegates absorbed the implications of Owen and Emily's findings. The concept of a technologically advanced insectoid civilization, driven by a queen with intelligence and drones with autonomy, sparked a wave of discussions about the nature of intelligence itself. Admiral Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "This changes everything we thought we knew about hive dynamics. The possibility of decentralized intelligence among drones opens up new avenues for collaboration and coexistence." As the conference continued, Owen and Emily fielded more questions, eager to delve deeper into their research and its implications. They exchanged glances, proud of their discoveries and ready to embark on the next phase of their scientific journey. Emily took over, her tone reflective yet hopeful. "The discovery of this neural organ and the intricate hive dynamics it implies provide a compelling framework. It suggests that insectoid species can indeed develop advanced cognitive abilities and even technological civilizations under the guidance of a highly intelligent queen." She gestured to the holographic screen displaying their research papers and highlighted sections detailing historical theories and recent breakthroughs. "We now have unprecedented insight into how such a species could evolve, driven by a combination of centralized guidance and decentralized problem-solving among drones. The audience, a mix of scientists, diplomats, and military officers, listened intently, absorbed in the implications of Owen and Emily's research. Questions arose about the ethical considerations of interacting with a species capable of such complexity and intelligence. Admiral Thompson interjected thoughtfully, "Dr. Aridi, Dr. Masiello, your findings raise profound questions about our understanding of intelligence and the potential for interspecies cooperation. How do you propose we proceed?" Owen and Emily exchanged a glance, considering the Admiral's question carefully. "Our immediate recommendation," Owen began, "is to establish diplomatic channels for communication with this species. Understanding their culture and capabilities is crucial to peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit." Emily nodded in agreement. "Furthermore, continued research and observation will be essential. We must respect their autonomy while exploring opportunities for scientific exchange and collaboration." As the conference drew to a close, Owen and Emily felt a sense of fulfillment and anticipation. They had not only uncovered groundbreaking scientific insights, but also laid the groundwork for a new era of understanding between species. Achieving spaceflight for an insectoid civilization is a daunting but intriguing possibility, fraught with numerous challenges and potential pathways. Owen and Emily stood before their audience, ready to explore the theories that could shape the future of interspecies relations and technological advancement. "As entomologists," Emily began, her voice steady with anticipation, "we've contemplated three primary theories on how an insectoid civilization might achieve spaceflight." Owen nodded, picking up seamlessly. "The first theory posits that the insect civilization evolved sapience over millions of years. Despite tech tree bottlenecks due to limited numbers capable of intelligent thought, gradual advancement could lead to scientific breakthroughs in propulsion and space exploration." Emily continued, "The second theory suggests contact with another species could catalyze technological progress. Through uplifting or exposure to alien technology, the insects gain a significant leap in capabilities, thereafter innovating over millennia." Pausing for a moment, Owen glanced at Emily, who nodded encouragingly. "Lastly," he resumed, "the third theory proposes that the queens themselves achieve superintelligence. This scenario envisions a transformative leap driven by advanced technologies developed by the queens, possibly altering the behavior and physiology of the entire species." Emily interjected, "It's uncertain which scenario or combination thereof might unfold. Each presents unique challenges and implications for both the insectoid civilization and potential interactions with other species." The audience listened intently, contemplating the profound implications of these theories. Discussions sparked about the ethical considerations, technological hurdles, and potential benefits of insectoid space exploration. Admiral Thompson raised a hand, signaling a question. "Dr. Ariti, Dr. Masiello, what role do you see for humanity in these scenarios?" Owen and Emily exchanged thoughtful looks before Emily replied, "Our role should be one of cautious collaboration and exploration. By understanding and respecting the insectoid civilization's development, we can foster mutual understanding and possibly benefit from shared technological advancements." As the discussion unfolded, Owen and Emily felt a sense of excitement and responsibility. They had sparked a dialogue that could shape the future of interstellar relations and scientific discovery, eager to explore the mysteries of insectoid potential and the vastness of space. Emily and Owen exchanged a serious glance, aware of the gravity of Admiral Thompson's concern. Emily stepped forward, addressing the Admiral and the assembled audience with measured resolve. "Admiral Thompson, the prospect of facing an insectoid species with superintelligent queens and vast numbers of drones indeed presents significant challenges," Emily began, her tone reflective yet resolute. "Their potential for rapid innovation and technological advancement could outpace our own efforts, especially if they harness their collective intelligence efficiently," Owen added. "However, It's crucial to note that our understanding of their capabilities is still evolving. While their organizational structure and cognitive abilities pose a formidable challenge, it also opens avenues for potential cooperation and diplomacy. Admiral Thompson nodded thoughtfully, absorbing their assessment. Given this new information, what strategies do you propose for our ongoing conflict with the insectoids? Emily considered the question carefully. Firstly, we must prioritize intelligence gathering. Understanding their technological capabilities, strategic vulnerabilities, and potential motivations is essential for informed decision-making, Owen continued. Secondly, we should explore diplomatic channels. Initiating dialogue, even amidst conflict, could offer insights into their intentions and possibly establish frameworks for ceasefire or collaboration. Admiral Thompson frowned slightly, considering their suggestions. And if diplomacy fails, Emily replied, then we must enhance our defensive capabilities and strategic planning. Developing countermeasures against their technology and tactics while minimizing collateral damage will be critical. As the discussion continued, scientists and military strategists debated the best approach to navigating this new intelligence paradigm. The room buzzed with a mixture of apprehension and determination, reflecting the complex realities of interspecies conflict and cooperation. Owen and Emily exchanged a glance, reaffirming their commitment to understanding and possibly bridging the gap between humanity and the insectoid civilization. Their research had not only illuminated scientific frontiers, but also placed them at the forefront of decisions that could shape the course of galactic history. The gathered scientists and military leaders leaned in, intrigued by his assertion. This organ, Owen continued, appears to facilitate not only communication, but also a form of telepathy among the insectoid queens and drones. It likely serves as a central hub for transmitting commands and receiving sensory input from across their vast network. Admiral Thompson frowned thoughtfully. Telepathy? Are you suggesting they possess some form of psychic ability? Emily nodded, chiming in. It's more likely a highly evolved method of neural communication. By bypassing traditional language barriers and transmitting data directly through neural signals, they achieve rapid coordination and decision-making. A murmur spread through the room as implications sank in. The idea of a species capable of such instantaneous and coordinated communication raised both awe and concern among the human and Ilani observers. Furthermore, Owen continued, this neural organ appears to enhance their collective intelligence. By sharing thoughts and processing power, the queens and drones can pool their cognitive resources, accelerating problem-solving and innovation. Admiral Thompson tapped his fingers on the table, considering the implications. If they possess this level of neural connectivity and intelligence sharing, it could explain their rapid adaptation and strategic responses during our engagements. Emily nodded gravely. Indeed, Admiral. Their ability to learn and adapt in real time could pose a significant challenge to our conventional military tactics. We may need to rethink our approach to combat and defense against such a formidable adversary. The room fell into a thoughtful silence as everyone absorbed the implications of Owen and Emily's findings. The prospect of facing an enemy with advanced telepathic-like communication and collective intelligence posed new strategic dilemmas for humanity and its allies. Admiral Thompson finally spoke, his voice tinged with determination. Thank you, Dr. Ariti. Dr. Masiello, your insights are invaluable. We must proceed with caution and adapt swiftly to this new intelligence paradigm. Our future engagements with the insectoids will demand nothing less. As the meeting adjourned, Owen and Emily exchanged a sober glance. Their research had not only unveiled the complex capabilities of the insectoid species, but also highlighted the urgent need for strategic innovation and cooperation in the face of an evolving adversary. He considered the potential benefits and risks of such an operation, weighing the strategic advantage of disrupting the insectoid's command structure against the logistical and ethical challenges of capturing live specimens. Dr. Masiello. Admiral Thompson began, his voice measured. Capturing live specimens, especially a queen, poses significant risks. We don't fully understand their capabilities or potential defenses. It could escalate tensions and lead to unintended consequences. Owen nodded, acknowledging the Admiral's concerns. I understand, Admiral. But without direct access to live specimens, our ability to study and potentially neutralize their communication methods is severely limited. It's a calculated risk, but one that could provide critical insights into their technology and behavior. Emily interjected. Admiral, with proper containment protocols and research facilities, we can minimize risks to both our personnel and the specimens. Studying their neural structures and communication organs could unlock vital information for our defense strategies. The room was tense with deliberation. Human and Ilani observers exchanged uneasy glances, recognizing the gravity of Owen's proposal. The prospect of disrupting the insectoid's telepathic-like communication offered a potential breakthrough in the ongoing conflict, but also posed ethical dilemmas and strategic uncertainties. Admiral Thompson leaned forward, his expression grave yet resolute. Dr. Masiello, Dr. Ariti, proceed with caution. Develop a detailed plan for capturing and studying these specimens. Ensure that every contingency is considered, including containment and risk mitigation. Owen and Emily nodded in agreement, understanding the gravity of the task ahead. They would need to collaborate closely with military strategists and biologists to devise a plan that balanced scientific inquiry with operational security. Assemble your team and submit a comprehensive proposal, Admiral Thompson instructed. We'll review it thoroughly before making a final decision. With that, the meeting concluded, leaving Owen and Emily with a renewed sense of purpose and the daunting task of preparing a proposal that could potentially shift the course of humanity's conflict with the insectoid species. They understood the weight of Admiral Thompson's support and the significance of their mission ahead. Thank you, Admiral, Emily replied earnestly. We appreciate your trust and support. We'll keep you informed every step of the way. Admiral Thompson nodded, his expression serious yet encouraging. I expect nothing less. This endeavor could prove pivotal in our understanding and defense against the insectoids. With that, Owen and Emily left the conference room, their minds racing with plans and preparations for the daunting task ahead. They knew that capturing live specimens and studying them would be fraught with challenges, but they were also driven by the potential breakthroughs their research could yield. Back in their lab, they immediately began drafting their proposal, outlining detailed plans for specimen capture, containment protocols, and scientific study. They consulted with military strategists and biologists, gathering expertise and perspectives to refine their approach. Days turned into weeks as they meticulously prepared, anticipating every scenario and contingency. They submitted their proposal to Admiral Thompson's office, where it underwent rigorous scrutiny and review by experts in various fields. Finally, their proposal was approved, and preparations for the operation commenced. Owen and Emily oversaw the assembly of specialized equipment, the training of personnel, and the coordination of logistical support. As the day of the operation approached, tensions mounted. The success of their mission could hinge on careful execution and a bit of luck. Yet they were emboldened by the Admiral's confidence and support, knowing that their efforts were crucial in the defense of humanity. Need anything else or run into any issues? Owen asked, his grin sheepish as he reached for the comm node. Emily stood beside him, her gaze fixed on Admiral Thompson with thinly veiled admiration after a moment of awkward silence. The Admiral, sensing the shift, clapped his hands, injecting some lightheartedness into the room. Well, what the hell are you still standing around for? Let's get to work. His smile hinted at encouragement and amusement as he observed them hurriedly gathering their belongings, both attempting to squeeze through the conference room door at once, which resulted in a comical drop of their data pads. Chuckling softly to himself, the Admiral turned away, subtly sparing them the embarrassment before activating his communicator. He swiftly keyed it to a dual frequency, summoning the commanders of the Marine Recon and Pathfinder regiments to join him for lunch in the wardroom in 30 minutes. As he left the conference room, he couldn't help but smile, recalling how both commanders had spent months lamenting the inactivity of their troops aboard his ships. Maybe a prisoner snatch on an insectoid world will finally shut them up. The admiral mused to himself with a wry grin, envisioning the prospect as he strode purposefully down the corridor.